All right, it is a Tuesday morning. We have survived Armageddon number 2, and apparently Stormageddon number 3 could happen during the day today. Glad you're with us this morning. We've got lots to get to this day, and it appears that at the end of the day, human error might have led to some disastrous effects in the city of St. Louis. I don't know if anybody else was watching the news conference live yesterday like I was around 5 o'clock when the mayor came out and held her news conference regarding the sirens. Did you see it?
I saw it. I didn't see it live, but it was refreshing to hear her just be honest and say, yeah, it was human failure. We didn't push the button, lack of protocol, lack of just clarity on roles and responsibilities, because how often do we see politicians try to beat around the bush and make it sound better than it really was, when it was the issue was, well, somebody didn't push the button.
Wait a minute. Wait, whoa. Refreshing? See, what we had two completely different takes on when that happened. I saw the people in the comments at the post-disgrace website are mentioning that she may be our next governor because of how strong she looked in this news conference. She didn't answer the question. She deflected. If you're a leader, tell me who got fired because the button didn't get pushed. And what the investigative reporter, Marc, what his name is from Channel 5.
Maxwell?
Yeah. He's asking her, so whose fault is it?
Oh,
So has anybody been disciplined? Well, we're not going to get into that. There was no clear protocol. This is not brain surgery. The person in charge of the city emergency management agency has been around for a long time. I don't know when she became the head of the SEMA. There was nobody in the emergency management office when storm warnings had been issued for the St. Louis area. They were at a separate location. So somebody needs to be fired over this. And to hear the mayor not answer the question was infuriating to me yesterday. I keep watching. I'm like, answer the question. Have you fired anybody because of this? You know who wasn't at this news conference, who was it the one the day before, was the head of the city emergency management agency. My guess is that's where the buck stops. When does she get removed from her office?
Well, maybe that was the issue, because I didn't hear that part, but maybe that was the issue, is that they haven't yet officially fired that person, and it's in the works, and they're trying to cross their T's and dot their I's before they go on and say anything. Now, you'd think maybe they would, because it happened Friday it's now Monday, so there should be plenty of time to do that. However, just to put a little defense out there for her, they have obviously been dealing with a lot, but I would hope that over these next couple of days that would be a priority, because I agree, someone should be fired over this.
The buck stops at the desk of the city emergency management director, and she's the one at the end of the day. Sarah is her name. Who even if it was an underling whose job it was to push the button for the sirens, it's ultimately her responsibility.
Well, yeah, it goes back to the manager.
So and ultimately the mayor's like, well, I'm responsible from this point forward, but I'm not responsible for rules that were put in place under Tashara Jones in 2021. So interesting. I was, I had a completely different take on that news conference by the mayor. She wanted to act strong during it, but she wouldn't speak the truth.
Well, I do see that Sarah Russell goes by they, them.
Yes.
That is the commissioner.
I'm not ready to say that political correctness has played a role in this.
No, I'm not saying that either, but
she's been around.
She's
been in that department for a long time and risen to that role, but rightly, I don't know what her background is or her qualifications. I'm not questioning that, because I don't know. All I'm saying is this is pretty simple. You come out and say, yes, we fired someone because the protocol was not followed. Now, the protocol could have been more clear, and it will be going forward. But for right now, this person is out. Are they not doing that because they already know lawsuits have been filed? Probably. If they weren't filed yesterday, they'll be filed today for wrongful death. Now, at the end of the day, I heard a meteorologist point this out last night correctly. The long debate has been that the way homes are built these days, and this probably wouldn't apply to a lot of the homes in the city because they're older, they're airtight. You can be inside of a home and not hear the sirens unless you're right next to one. So they're really only designed to alert people who are outside of their homes that there's a storm coming. Sirens can go off and you might not hear them, depending on how far your home is from one of those towers.
I
So can you
guess.
directly say my loved one died because the tornado sirens didn't go off?
I hear
I
them
don't know that you
inside.
could.
I hear them inside my house. And how many of us have the alerts to our phone? Now, I'm not saying that would be on this person, Sarah, to send an alert through our phone, but would that not typically be a thing as well? If there's a warning, is that right? Or am I mistaken here? I'm trying to remember if they normally send, obviously like an Amber Alert, you would get a notice to your phone.
Their argument is that they did send out some severe thunderstorm warning or something to some people, but I don't know. I mean, first of all, you have to have their phone number. I mean, I get alerts to my phone when something's going on near my house. I don't even know how they do that. I'll be honest with you. They just send them to everyone. And
I don't know either. Thankfully, I'm not paid to do that job, so I don't have to figure all that out.
But there was a clear failure here, and the mayor would not let the fire chief or the police chief speak. She was the only one at the mic. I immediately got on my phone and I went to Captain Garen Mosby. I called him, I texted him, and I emailed him requesting an interview with Chief Jenkinson this morning for the show. Crickets. Didn't hear back from any of them. I don't know why. I know they're busy. I know my show's not a priority for them when they got all this crap going on. But later in the newscast on Channel 4 last night, Cameron Bopp, is that his name?
Yeah.
Was interviewing the fire chief live. Like he had a live interview with him somewhere last night during the news. So the chief is doing media. I've known Chief Jenkinson for 20 years. I've known him for a long time. I have questions about the recovery and also who was responsible in the chain of command. They obviously don't want to address it. They don't. That I think that's the bottom line. They don't want to say who's responsible, and I can't envision why.
I was just a little okay. So you're making really good points, and because I didn't watch the press conference in its entirety, there were points that I missed. I guess my line of thinking though was that I'm even surprised that she was willing to say it was human error, that it was a human failure, because sometimes they'll beat around the bush so much they won't even say that. Well, we're looking into it, and maybe this, maybe that.
So I made a few phone calls last night, as I'm apt to do after something like this, because I like to pick the brain of people smarter than me when it comes to emergency management. So I made a few phone calls. You know what they do in the county? For years now, it has been protocol in the county emergency management agency that the central dispatch sounds the fire sounds the alarms, the signals, the tornado sirens, because, and this is a pretty obvious and glaring fact, there's always somebody there. But at the city emergency management agency, apparently it's not staffed 24 hours a day. So they didn't happen to be there when the crap hit the fan on Friday, so they couldn't push the button to activate the alarm.
Okay, first of all, well, Kara Spencer's now saying it's up to the fire department to sound
from this
the
point
siren,
forward,
right?
Which means dispatch.
Okay, dispatch. But
finally,
so this whole thing rolled in at what, 2 something on a Friday? Why was there no one in there? I could see if this hit at 7 p.m. on a Friday. This is the middle of the afternoon on a Friday.
They were at some sort of a workshop at a different location.
Well, here's another staff. Thing. Then this is a problem in and of itself, Mark, because how many days out did we know that we were at a level 4 out of 5 for the severe weather threat? You've got to be kidding me that you would not have people rerouted from whatever goofy workshop you were at. Nothing is more important than having at least one person staff there when you know there is a very high threat for severe weather. That's inexcusable. That's stupidity right there and poor leadership.
And I think moving forward, it's going to be through dispatch. So that's just kind of, I should have always been done that way. Why it wasn't done that way, again, these are all questions that need to be answered. And none of them were answered yesterday. And to their credit, a few of the reporters kept trying to get back to that, and the mayor shut them down and basically moved on. At some point she wouldn't answer any more questions about it. It was a failure protocol. We're dealing with it. They would never say who was responsible. But maybe in her absence yesterday, they were indicating who was responsible because the city emergency management director was not at that news conference. I've gone too long here. I will get to the top stories in just a couple of minutes. Ethan, let's get to the national anthem, please. We'll be right back.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
All right. We'll be back with that here in just a second. Sorry, I didn't warn Ethan properly there. That was a breakdown. That was a personnel failure. Can I just say
lack of clarity on roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, the protocol was not clear.
It was a human failure on Marc Cox's.
It was.
Yeah. Do you take responsibility, Mark?
I do.
Should you be fired?
I should be fired,
okay,
not Ethan. Me.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
From the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, good morning to you. And of course, we had more rain overnight. Why wouldn't we? And right now we look fine. We're quiet out there on the roads. If you are traveling on northbound 55, it looks great. Wet roadways, though. And eastbound 64, 40, 70, and 44, all in good shape. Quiet on the Illinois side as well. So a nice start to the commute this morning. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living. They've got modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't
don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
Solutions with conviction. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. The Marc Cox Morning Show, on the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
The Marc Cox Shortlist.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says she takes full responsibility for sirens not being deployed in the city, specifically blaming this on human error.
No, that's not what she said. She didn't say she takes complete responsibility. She said moving forward, she would take complete responsibility. She didn't tell us who was responsible for it this time.
I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health.
Yeah, Vice President Vance speaking some truth bombs there on Air Force 2 yesterday as he was flying around. He absolutely told the truth about Joe Biden's mental state during his time in the presidency.
It's a very, very sad situation, and I feel very badly about it. But a doctor was involved in each case. Maybe it was the same doctor, and somebody is not telling the facts.
Somebody is not telling the truth about when Joe Biden was diagnosed with cancer, and I believe more and more strongly that he told us the truth back in 2022 when he admitted that he had cancer.
He's saying that it's been there for a while. Even an aggressive prostate cancer has been there for a while. He clearly had this while he was president for years.
Yeah, that's Dr. Mark Siegel there was saying that yesterday. And you know, it's weird, Kim, because they never let you down. That's a saying that I've heard my whole life. The mainstream media in this country these days will never let you down. That applies so aptly to them. So I'm sitting with my mom yesterday. I'm watching the 5 o'clock news or whatever it was, or 6 o'clock news with Kara Spencer's news conference. I'm kind of slack jawed watching that. And then we're sitting there talking and the CBS Evening News comes on. And there are the two guys they've got hosting it now, because they had to get rid of Norah O'Donnell for some reason because the ratings couldn't go any lower, I guess. So they put these two jokers on there. And the first thing they did was one of the first stories they talked about was the medical report on Joe Biden being released, and you know the nation is reacting to news that Joe Biden has aggressive prostate cancer that has metastasized into his bones. There's been a lot of speculation that he must have known about this ahead of time. So we wanted to get to the truth. So they cut to an interview with some hand-selected doctor, female doctor. I don't even know her name, at one of the universities in New York, one of the medical schools, who says, well, you know, each person's case is individual. It's impossible for us to know how quickly this became more serious. And they completely did this interview to defend the fact that every other oncologist in America is using the words like, I've never seen anything like this before. It's unheard of for cancer to go from 0 to 9 on the Gleason scale in 1 year. This didn't happen. They've known for years that he had colon or prostate cancer, and they just chose to withhold it from the American people. The question needs to be asked, what did they know and when did they know it?
I take that CBS did not report on the Axios audio that was his interview. Joe
The
Biden's
Herb.
interview with
I don't
Robert Herb.
remember. I don't think they got around to that.
Well,
but
of course, no, that's the point of why we think the Biden administration or former Biden administration, released this cancer diagnosis when they did.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a distraction.
But the bigger issue here is who's his medical doctor at the White House? That guy ought to be held accountable.
But is it really is it on the medical doctor, or is it on his staff that didn't disclose this to the public?
So he should answer that question. When Joe Biden was president of the United States, did you give him a PSA test? Because to my knowledge, and you guys, somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, when you hit the age of 50 as a man and you go get a blood test as part of your yearly physical, the PSA number is something they include on that. The prostate-specific antigen number. You don't get to a level 9 without already having an elevated PSA number. That doesn't happen. There's no way they took this man's blood the last 4 years in a physical unless they were told to specifically exclude the PSA test.
What's a normal number? If 9 obviously is really high because it's out of, I think, 10. Do you want to be at a 0? Do you want to be at a 1?
It's just below a certain number, is a normal range. And if it gets above that, they get alarmed and they want to go in and look and see what's going on. I started having that done when I was 45 because my dad had prostate cancer. So they start testing you earlier if you have a family history of it. There is no way that Joe Biden and those people didn't know this. They covered it up. They didn't want the word to leak out that the 82-year-old man had cancer because they knew there's no way in hell he'd ever get reelected. They kept it a secret. We're going to be back with Kim on a Whim coming up.
Marie, is that you?
Oh, hi, Barb. How you doing?
Better now. Did you know we had a little health scare with Jeff?
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, he had been short of breath and was really tired a lot of the time. He just thought he was getting old and was out of shape, but it turns out it was heart valve disease.
How did you figure it out?
He finally went to the doctor, and she was able to listen to his heart and detected the problem. I didn't realize it, but heart valve disease is more common than you'd think. They were able to replace the valve, and he's feeling so much better now.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
More than 5 million Americans are diagnosed with heart valve disease every year, but most people know nothing about the condition, and it can be deadly if untreated. That's why it's important to listen to your heart and ask your doctor if your symptoms may be due to heart valve disease, or if you're at high risk. A message brought to you by Heart Valve Voice US. For more information about the symptoms and treatments for valve disease, go to heartvalvevoice-us.org.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report. Wall Street is looking at a busy week of retail earnings starting today with Home Depot. Investors will be looking at sales and earnings and also the health of the consumer. Home improvement can offer broader signs about the economy because it reflects consumers' ability to take on big projects. Kenny Polcari, chief market strategist at Slate Stone Wealth, says investors will be looking for how companies see the rest of the year.
While first quarter earnings were strong, it's really about what's going to be in the second and third quarters. That's what the market is kind of looking out at.
Home Depot's competitor Lowe's and Target report earnings tomorrow. Viking Holdings, the luxury riverboat travel company, also reports earnings today. So does cybersecurity company Palo Alto Networks. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decision.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Of course, we've had more rain overnight, so watch out. Some roadways, especially near downtown and 55, are still wet this morning. We just had a report of there was a vehicle into the tree line, and they can't tell whether that's been there overnight or what's going on, so they're sending somebody out to look at it. That's near Highway 50 and Highway Double B, as in boy. But for the most part, we look great throughout the area, and it's quiet. And that's on the Missouri side and the Illinois side. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Boy, did it feel good to walk into the house yesterday. I was doing a little bit of yard work and planting a couple of small trees and digging some holes. And when I walked into that house and that cool air hit me, boy, did it feel good. You want to make sure that your air conditioner is tuned up and ready to go. You need to call Air Comfort Service, Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. They're ready for you. They'll get out there. If it's an emergency, they'll get it taken care of. 314-513-0091. They provide 24-hour service for you if you have a problem. So they're going to get there and they're going to get it fixed. Here's the other great thing. They passed some new regulations driving up the cost of some of this high efficiency equipment, right? The government did that went into effect this year. So they bought up Air Comfort Service a bunch of 2024 equipment, and they're selling it at 2024 pricing. So you still have an opportunity to beat that price increase if you call them. On top of that, you might be eligible for carrier cool cash rebates of up to $1,700. That's in addition to the other rebates from the utility companies. And last year, I was able to get tax credits on top of that. So you need to ask them about all of that. If you have any questions, just call them at 314-513-0091. Say, I heard Marc Cox talking about this. I have questions. Or you can go online. Visit aircomfortservice.com/new.
Barry Door and Window offers a personalized experience with endless customization for all types of exterior and interior doors, built in-house. We also have high-quality wood or vinyl windows that never compromise your dreams, with a strong 5-year window labor warranty. Don't forget our stunning garage doors. Best of all, our installations are performed by our own expert installers. At Barry Door and Window, we welcome you to a higher standard of customization and quality.
Barry Door and Window.
He's bringing the heat. You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
Well, did you guys see that there was a huge win yesterday for the Trump administration with the Supreme Court making that decision to basically revoke this legal protection for about 350,000 Venezuelans who were given this protection, of course, under the Biden administration. So it's basically paving the way for at least some of those Venezuelans to be deported, to get the heck out of the United States. This obviously will continue to face legal challenges because people are all upset about it and saying this is ridiculous and this shouldn't be happening.
How can it if the Supreme Court made the decision?
Well, could this not, though, then go back? Because I know that some decisions with the Supreme Court, somehow the lower courts are able to find little nuances in it and still argue it. And my understanding is that can actually still make some changes, even though the Supreme Court's the highest court. Are there not little parts of those that the lower courts control?
They didn't grant cert, whatever that the full implication of that is on this case, and it was an 8-1 decision. So I think that does not bode well for the case they heard the other day for the Democrats. I don't think it bodes well because the question was whether or not lower court judges should be able to just be having a bad day and decide to stop with an injunction the actions of a duly elected president of the United States without a higher court having to approve it first. Like, you know, these local district judges, they get these appointments and then all of a sudden they think they've gotten more power than the president. So I would say that this is a great example of why if this was 8-1, that means everybody but Ketanji Brown Jackson voted for it.
Of course, yes.
She was the lone dissenter in this case. That means even Sotomayor and Kagan agreed that a judge somewhere overstepped his bounds, telling Donald Trump, you can't cancel this, because apparently the Homeland Security Director is the one that can grant this to begin with. So why shouldn't they be able to take it away? Like the Biden Homeland Security Director granted this temporary protection for them, and Trump's Homeland Security Secretary took it away.
Mm-hmm.
So some judge somewhere who didn't like that politically decided they were going to grant an injunction and prevent her from doing her duties.
And it goes to show you. So if you guys have also been following what's been going on out of South Africa, last week, about 59 or so people came and were allowed to come here seeking asylum under the Trump administration. And so many people on the left want to sit there and say that Trump basically doesn't have a heart and he doesn't want anyone to be able to seek asylum here in the United States. And that's just simply not true. This is a prime example of that. And it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out, because obviously people are playing the race card. I was listening to this clip that I want to play for you from The View, where we get all of our fantastic content from, because it's a guaranteed great soundbite, because they're just wackadoodles. And they were trying to play the race card, that the only reason that the Trump administration was allowing these people from South Africa to come over was because they were white. But listen to part of their conversation about this whole thing.
So the South African president has been actively, denying that persecution. He says a refugee is someone who has to leave their country out of fear of political persecution, religious persecution, or economic persecution. They don't fit that bill. And so the fact that Afghan refugees, people who helped us during the Afghanistan war, helped us and protected our troops, that program has been dismissed. The fact that Haitians that are truly refugees, they have been denied protected status.
So what do you think is the bottom line, Sonny?
Well,
and then they go on to say it's because
Trump's
they're
racist.
white, and that's why they're allowed to come over here. If they weren't white, they wouldn't want them over here.
Yeah.
By the way, have you seen some of these videos coming out of South Africa with the chants people have been saying against specifically the white people? They've been targeting white farmers, white business owners.
Yeah.
You can have, it's so funny when you hear people debate the issue of racism and you ask someone to define it. And I've talked about this before, watching Charlie Kirk debate some of these college students where they want to say that racism is toward a minority group. That is not true. I mean, it can be true, but it's also it's toward any racial group, any skin color. If you're judging because of that and discriminating, that's racism. You can be racist toward white people just like you can be racist toward black people.
I was once told you can't.
Oh shoot, I forgot who told you that again?
I'm not going to say, but I was told by a coworker when I worked at Channel 4 that racism cannot go the other way. You have to be part of an oppressed minority to be the victim of racism.
Wait. I have a question then. I'm a woman. So technically, I'm a
You
minority.
can be
So
discriminated
if I'm a
against.
white woman, so you can't be racist toward me because I'm white, but I
But you
could
could
be
discriminate against you
discriminated.
because you're a woman.
Got it. I just have to clarify.
Just so you know,
Okay.
just so you're clear on that. That's what I was told.
That's ridiculous.
Come on, give it the program.
Have you seen the videos out of South Africa? Them chanting.
Oh,
and
I saw the videos of people being abducted from their farms years ago, and the farms being, basically taken over by the state and
Yes.
given away, the property given away to other people. So here's the problem with the colonization argument. There's not a society in the history of the world that hasn't at some point been conquered by an invading force, ever. So the Native Americans in America are not unique to that. The Saxons were not unique to that. The Normans were not unique to that. The English, the British, the Romans, everybody has at some point been defeated by a neighboring country in the history of this world. It's been happening since the dawn of time. Their argument that these lands were taken by the Boers back in the 1700s or whatever the case may be, illegitimately, and now 300 years later they should have the opportunity to come in and take them away, and in some cases kill the people living on the land out of anger. That's not something the U.S. anybody should ever support. It's ridiculous. That's not how it works.
And that's why it's okay for someone to be seeking asylum when their life is at risk. And I think a lot of us who are very much in favor of strict immigration policies, we would in fact support people coming over and being able to seek asylum here in the United States. That is what is really beautiful about our country, is we will welcome those people and offer them protection and help them out. But it has to be truly a situation where they're in need of that, because so often we had people pouring over our border and they just use that trigger word, I'm an asylum seeker. And all of a sudden it was like, poof, they had all these protections, and the Biden administration want to just roll the red carpet out for them and basically say, well, we totally understand. We want to make sure you're safe. We'll do anything. Here's your cell phone and here's a free stay at the 4-star hotel in New York City. And you'll be getting a voucher for meals and all of these things. And when was this ever vetted? I mean, even if there was something set in place to vet them, it was a court hearing, years down the road? We had millions of people pouring across our border. There was no way that all those Border Patrol agents were able to keep up with the influx of people coming over.
You could even argue that there was a time when the people in Venezuela maybe had a reason to fear their government. I mean, weren't they eating the animals out of the zoo down there at some point? I mean, how long
ago was that? No, I remember us talking about that.
Well, yeah, it's within the last 5 or 6 years. I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. People went shopping at the zoo for dinner. I mean, they got that desperate. Things have turned around a considerable amount down there to consider the fact that that's why it was temporary status from the beginning. So the people that are defending this, I don't know what their angle is. I've not figured that out. Sonny Hostin and the people at The View would grant amnesty to everybody in the world. They were in support of the open border policy of the previous administration. So none of that should be a surprise.
No, do you really think they would support the South African people coming over here? Because I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to make it about the skin color. They're making it about the skin color.
They can never, they can never agree with anything having to deal with white people from South Africa because apartheid, which happened years ago. Period. That's the only excuse they need. It's not. You're never going to be able to reason with people that are unreasonable. And those are the people on The View. There's not a lick of common sense between the 5 or 6 of them on that panel.
They have their rose-colored glasses on, and that's the lens they'll be viewing any sort of a situation through. And they just can't seem to take those sunglasses off and see that there's something else that they're missing.
Maybe we should hire one of them to be the head of the city emergency management agency.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Well, they probably wouldn't warn the white people because they feel like they wouldn't need to know, right?
I don't know. This was an epic failure. We'll talk a little bit more about it. This was announced yesterday. Also, and something else we really haven't talked about is this LaMonica, who this congresswoman who has now been charged in that case up in ICE. And boy, LaMonica Butler, is that her name?
I believe so.
They're so angry over this, but the video speaks for itself. And if you haven't seen the video, I would encourage you to Google it because there's not even a question about what happened here. You cannot physically hip check and push a member of law enforcement outside of a detention facility like that and not expect some repercussions for it. So we're going to get to all that and more for you. We got John Lamping next hour to talk about the end of session and what's happened with that, and Governor Kehoe calling the special session for the Royals and Chiefs Stadium bill as well. That's going to happen here at some point. We'll get to all that and more coming up on the Marc Cox Morning Show. Stay tuned.
The Marc Cox Morning Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Yep, we still look good on the roads if you happen to be just headed out. I will mention some road work scheduled for today. On Olive, 8 a.m. until 2 p.m., they'll have a lane down at Woodson. And also on Olive, 8 a.m. until 2 p.m., crews plan to close a lane at North and South Road. Right now, of course, they're open and things are moving well. We've got light traffic in general at this hour. Watch for some wet roadways downtown on 55, just in some areas. But for the most part, we're good. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, let me brag for just a minute about my friends from Overhead Door, because when my garage door suddenly stopped working last week, guess what? One phone call, they were there, they got it taken care of, and it just couldn't have been any easier. My guess is the guy was there maybe 45 minutes or an hour. Got the springs off, replaced the broken spring, greased the door up for me while he was there to make sure it was working flawlessly. It's operating much better than it was before. So in addition to a brand new spring on there, I've got an improved garage door. They'll do the same thing for you. They didn't do it just because it's me. They do 24-hour emergency service, so you're not stuck if your car is outside or inside of the garage. That's the original Red Ribbon. They're the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Been around since 1926. Yes, do the math. 99 years in business. Coming up on a big anniversary for them next year. We appreciate what they do. If you need a new garage door, the options are amazing at the Overhead Door Company. Go there to their website and check them out. Here's the number, 314-781-5200. Tell them you need them. They're going to be there. They do same-day emergency service. 314-781-5200. Online at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
The Cards, the Tigers.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey, it's Annie. Get your conceal and carry with the certified experts at STS Armory. From beginners and ladies only to pepper spray, STS Armory has the class for you. Call 618-931-GUNS or stop by in Pontoon Beach at the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive.
When a parent struggles with addiction or dies from a drug overdose, what happens to their children? Far too many end up in foster care, unable to ever return to their birth homes because it's simply not safe. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is fighting the clock so that teens don't age out of foster care, leaving them at a higher risk of addiction and other negative outcomes that can happen to a child without the love and stability of a permanent family. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
On-time news. On your time. Your time. Download the Odyssey app and dip in whenever you want and stay on top of what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app. The original truth-telling dog-faced pony soldier, Marc Cox. Follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
Outdoor sirens are a critical part of keeping you safe when facing severe threats like tornadoes and other emergencies.
Tonight, St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says she takes full responsibility for sirens not being deployed in the city, specifically blaming this on human error.
No, Samantha, that is not what she said. Whoever wrote that headline yesterday for Channel 4 was in error. She did not say, I take full responsibility for this. She just didn't. I'll play the bite for you. Moving forward, she takes full responsibility now that she's changed the protocol. And it's a difference with a distinction. It is. It's important that you say that in the headline. Kara Spencer did not take full responsibility for the sirens not going off. Somebody in her administration failed, and that person has not been held accountable. And they didn't even suggest that somebody would be held accountable. They just wouldn't answer the question. When I say they, I mean the administration, but it was the mayor who was speaking. The fire chief, Dennis Jenkerson, the police chief never got in front of the microphone. But they've always done things differently in the city. In the county, the sirens for the tornadoes are set off by dispatch. This is dispatch center because there's always somebody there. There's never going to be a time when they're at lunch or they're at a workshop at a different location and they're not there to push the button. Was the assumption that somebody else would do it? When they asked the mayor yesterday, well, then what are the protocols? Well, we're looking into that. But you know the protocol wasn't right, wasn't clear. Why wasn't it clear? And she wouldn't answer the question. So I mean, I think that's important. Go ahead and play. Which one was it? Which one is the mayor's bite? Is it cut 8 or is it cut 7?
Let's try
Ethan?
7, but I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure
All
she's on here.
A breakdown in protocols led to the sirens not going off on Friday. North City residents say they heard them the day before, but not when it mattered most.
The siren happened the day before, but not the day it happens. That don't make sense.
Cantrell Collins confused about why he did not hear outdoor tornado warning sirens Friday. He's now among the thousands without power in North City and believes a loud warning would have helped stem injuries and property damage.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought for sure that I had the mayor's soundbite on there. I'll have to remedy that here in the break. I apologize for that. But so importantly, as cleanup continues, this morning we are going to talk with Senator Eric Schmitt at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. I'm sure he is all over this storm recovery. The fact that they're waiting for apparently waiting for the governor to do something to request federal assistance from the federal government, the Trump administration.
So yesterday, Governor Kehoe told us he did request that from Trump.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time. I know they've already granted it for Kentucky, so I'm sure they'll probably grant it for St. Louis as well to get FEMA in here to help out with that. We have a link on our website at 871talk.com for places where you can donate to help the human side of this for people that need food and shelter and all that stuff. The Red Cross, Catholic Charities on there, I'm sure. The Salvation Army, there's a link to them on there where you can help out. A little later in the 6 o'clock hour, 6:20, my friend Chad Hansen is going to phone in. You talk about busy. They've been all over the place around the Forest Park area and others trying to help clean up these massive trees that fell. I can't even imagine what all is involved in that, but we're going to talk to him a little bit about that effort and all that they've gone through since Friday night when this happened. And of course, there were more storms last night. And then a little later, my friend Curtis Correll is going to come into the studio. Now he runs a roofing company, and He recently came out and gave me a bid on my house after the hail the other night. Great guy. I've known him for years. And he's also recently repaired the roof for a friend of mine and did a fantastic job. Made sure that was taken care of. She's older and didn't really have a lot of idea what was going on with it. And we got it taken care of for her. And I appreciate what Curtis has done. But he can kind of tell you what to look for in the event that your house had hail damage. What you should be looking for on the roof or even on the ground around your house to tell whether or not you probably have an insurance claim there for your house. And it can be different. I mean, it's important. You have to understand how the insurance companies work and what they're looking for, which is why it's important sometimes not just to use the out-of-town roofing people that sweep into town after an emergency like this and suddenly start banging on every door in your neighborhood. Because you don't know them, you can't trust them 100% because you have no history with them. So we'll get to Curtis in here about 8:45 to talk a little bit more about that. So lots to get to, including Todd Piro, and it's 2A Tuesday, all coming up in the next hour on the Marc Cox Morning Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Now, your Live Nation lineup.
Sasanta, Primus, Lucifer, and A Perfect Circle. Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, May 29th. Simple Minds, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, June 5th. Outlaw Music Festival, Willie Nelson and Friends, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, June 28th. Live and Collective Soul, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, July 17th. And El Monstero, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, August 2nd.
For tickets and info, hit up livenation.com.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
4 down, 6 to go.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They captured another of the prisoners on the run in Louisiana.
Gary Price, he was the person who was arrested last night. He's charged with first-degree murder and was being held without bond awaiting his trial.
Fox's Nate Foy outside the Orleans Justice Center.
6 of the 10 fugitives who escaped this jail on Friday morning of last week are still out there, and these are some dangerous folks. You have 200 law enforcement officers at the local, state, and federal level, all looking for these guys. And they broke out of the jail by digging a hole in the wall behind a cell toilet.
A Democrat in Congress is facing criminal charges after a clash earlier this month outside a New Jersey immigration detention facility.
Acting U.S. Attorney Alina Habba claims Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, quote, assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement when she entered an ICE detention center in New Jersey. McIver says she and 2 other members of Congress who entered the building were fulfilling our lawful oversight responsibilities. House Democratic leadership in a joint statement says there's no credible evidence for the New Jersey Democrat to face charges.
Fox's Ryan Schmitt. Now, trespassing charges that were filed against Newark Mayor Ras Baraka from that same incident have been dropped. President Trump will go to the Capitol in a few hours, trying to get House Republicans united on what he calls one big, beautiful budget bill they may vote on this week. The day after the president's phone calls with Russian leader Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Fox's Jared Halpern's at the White House.
President Trump says he's hopeful a ceasefire can be reached.
Very big egos involved, I tell you. Big egos involved, but I think something's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'd just back away and they're going to have to keep going.
Still, he believes Putin is ready for peace.
I think he's had enough. This has been a long time. This has been going on for more than 3 years.
America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe. And if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. 6:03 our time right now, 67 degrees downtown at the Arch. It was a human failure. That's why St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says the sirens did not go off before Friday's deadly tornado. Spencer says no one pushed the button, but there's no single person to blame because there was a lack of clear protocols on roles and responsibilities in place. Moving forward, it will be city policy for the fire department to issue any warnings and then activate the sirens. Senator Josh Hawley is warning insurance companies pay those in tornado claims in full or risk getting subpoenaed. Hawley toured damaged neighborhoods in North St. Louis Friday. The senator is working with Governor Mike Kehoe to get a federal emergency declaration. Hawley's office also set up a hotline for Missourians to report any problems filing insurance claims. In the Metro East, 22-year-old Elijah Thompson from Belleville is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly shooting 3 Fairview Heights police officers over the weekend. The shooting happened Saturday night around 9:45 on Potomac Drive. Officers were responding to a call there about a suspicious person. One of the officers who was shot in the face is still in critical condition. Another shot in the arm is okay. The last officer was shot in the back, but thankfully his bulletproof vest protected him. 6:04, 67 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, Cardinals crushed the Tigers yesterday 11-4. Game 2 coming up tonight at 6:45. City faces Minnesota on the road tomorrow. That'll be part of the U.S. Open Cup round of 16. 67 degrees now. We're coming up on 6:05. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We look good on the roads this morning. We've got light traffic out there at this hour. So the Missouri side is quiet. The Illinois side is quiet. It's really ideal. Now, there is some road work scheduled for tonight on 64 in the city, 8 p.m. tonight until 5 a.m. tomorrow. They plan to close one eastbound and one westbound lane from Sarah to Jefferson just for a little overnight road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It's another day to keep an eye on the sky with scattered rain and thunderstorms today. The best chance for severe weather will be later on today, 79 for the high. Tonight, a fast fade in any scattered shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly partly cloudy, 55. Wednesday, it's a cool northwest flow, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 65. Thursday, sunny and 66. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
67 degrees at 6:06. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show at 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides. The bottom line is, I respect that. We don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
Hey, good morning to you. Welcome into the Marc Cox Morning Show. Happy that you are with us. And boy, do we have lots to get to for you this morning. Plenty of stuff. We're going to talk a little bit more about the storm cleanup, which continues. We had some more thunderstorms last night. I think it was probably a little worse to the south of St. Louis than St. Louis proper, but certainly a string of thunderstorms that moved through. Some people have been without power since yesterday, including Ethan at his house. Has that remedied itself yet, Ethan?
Not that I know of.
Nope, still without power down there. That was as a result of last night's storm, right?
Correct. Yep.
And didn't we say maybe there were still there that impacted more people initially than maybe the one on Friday night?
That I don't know.
There were more outages specifically in Illinois this morning, for example.
Okay.
A little fewer in Missouri, but I mean, it's taken them a while to try to get to all these down power lines.
No, I understand that. So we'll keep an eye on that for you as it moves along. Glad you're with us, though. Mark here alongside Kim St. Ange and Ethan Bright. Susan Thomas keeping an eye on traffic. The roads look pretty dry from our perspective. It was still raining a little bit, or at least the roads were wet on our way in this morning earlier. Maybe another round of this stuff a little later as we watch Dave Murray's forecast and listen to it. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Bottom of the hour, John Lamping is going to join us. We'll talk about the end of the legislative session, what they got accomplished, what they didn't, maybe the special session the governor announced yesterday. We had him on, and he announced yesterday he was going to call a special session for those new stadiums to try to keep the Chiefs and the Royals in Missouri. Why don't we move them to St. Louis? Why did we offer that? I don't know. So good question. Then we got in other news before the end of the hour. Senator Eric Schmitt at the top of the next hour. So we will definitely get to that for you here before long. All right. Right now, let's get to our top stories, Ethan, please.
The Marc Cox Shortlist.
Stop driving through this city like it's a spectacle. This is people's lives. You're driving down the wrong way, all in the way, ain't got nothing to offer. Stay at home.
That's a North County resident who lashed out on social media yesterday. Kind of went viral because she was angry that people are basically sightseeing in some of these areas where they've got a lot of damage and buildings torn down. She's like, if you're not here to help, don't come.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says she takes full responsibility for sirens not being deployed in the city, specifically blaming this on human error.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Channel 4 got that headline wrong. Ethan, go to cut number 1 next for me, please.
The president has approved our requests from the last two major disaster declarations, and their FEMA operation on the ground is one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, that was the governor of the state of Kentucky. Now, he was trying to use it as a political point to claim that FEMA should not be cut by the Trump administration, but he did admit that their reaction so far in the state of Kentucky has been stellar.
At the end of the day, this was a human failure. It was not exceptionally clear about whose roles and responsibilities it was to do what. The protocol needed to be crystal clear. It wasn't. It's clear as of right now. It is clear moving forward.
Yeah, that is Mayor Spencer yesterday. Had to get to that soundbite for you. I thought I had it last hour, but I didn't turn in the proper time code to get the soundbite that I wanted. That was Mayor Spencer during her news conference. Kim and I talked a little bit about it last hour. What did you think? I would love to know what people who watch that think. My immediate thought was, well, so who didn't push the button? And the reporters tried to get to that, and Mayor Spencer sidestepped it. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe we're a little spoiled by some politicians these days who are willing to name names, but she was not. And in her absence, I guess you would have to suspect that maybe the city's emergency management director might know the answer to that, but she wasn't at the news conference, and the mayor didn't let anyone else speak.
I mean, I can understand why she's saying there's no, well, if there truly were not adequate protocols in place, I can see why there would be confusion, but it ultimately has to go back up the chain of command, which I guess in this case would be the director, Sarah Russell. So even if she was not ever supposed to be the one to officially push the button to activate the sirens, if she didn't have the plan in place for someone to actually do it and to make sure that there was somebody on site in the office to do that when we knew days ahead that this was a level 4 out of 5 on the severe weather threat, then that should be her. That should be Sarah who gets fired over this.
Maybe at some point we'll get to more answers on it. I mean, the reporters tried to ask those questions yesterday, and Mayor Spencer would not answer the question. And that's why I said that the headline there from Channel 4 was in error, claiming that she's taking full responsibility. That is absolutely not what she said in her news conference yesterday. She said that from this point forward, she would be responsible because she was switching the protocols to the dispatchers at the fire department, which is very smart. It's the way the county's done it for years. You know, this is not new. I remember when it wasn't a controversy, but when they started changing over the sirens, changing them out for newer technology and louder sirens and all that around the county years ago. And that system had already been in place for many years before that. I forget what year they originally put tornado siren on these telephone poles all around the region. But it's not, it strikes me as a little odd that in 2025, we still have protocol confusion over who's in charge of sounding those alarms. And I think that's the question that has to be asked at the end of the day. Why was there a question about that? Isn't it pretty simple? If a tornado warning gets issued for St. Louis City or the county for that matter, I mean, I think you need to be ready to have somebody standing there pushing the button. It's just black and white.
Well, it's also interesting that they just did the test the day prior, so Thursday, and you'd think that the protocol would be that whoever is in charge of actually hitting the button when there is a tornado warning in place, that person would be the one to push the button for the test. Would that not make sense? I feel like I'd want that same person. I'd want the consistency.
Well, and it may not be a person. I mean, it may not be one person. Maybe it's the fact that there just has to be somebody in the office who can do it, which would lead you to wonder why that's not a 24-hour. If that office is not staffed 24 hours a day, that is a failure in leadership on somebody's part. And the mayor pointed back to 2021 when this decision was made. So I don't know. I'm trying to do the math here. Was I believe Tashara Jones was the mayor in 21, wasn't she?
How long was her term?
It was a 4-year term, right? And it just ended. So I would guess, but I don't know who put the protocol in place. She didn't call out Tashara Jones on it.
Yeah, she assumed office on April 20th of 2021.
Okay. So sometime in 2021, the protocol that they were working under was put into place. And in the preceding 4 years, it's apparently worked until Friday night. So that's the question. If you missed the news conference yesterday, it had to be frustrating on the part of the media because the mayor simply wouldn't answer the question. So who is responsible? Has anybody been disciplined? We put out a call to the fire department yesterday to try to get Chief Jenkerson on this morning to discuss at least what the protocol will be going forward, since his department will be in charge of that. And they did not return our phone call to media relations, texted, emailed, called, nothing. I know they got a lot going on, but maybe we'll get to that answer at some point. I think we need to. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about some of the recovery efforts that have been going on. Forest Park got devastated by this. If you've seen any of the video from down there, huge, several hundred, I'll bet 150-year-old trees were uprooted and knocked over by this. What does it take to get that job done? We're going to talk to somebody who does this for a living, my friend Chad Hansen, when we get back right after this. Stay tuned.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We look good on the roads this morning, still at this hour. If you are northbound on 55, it looks great from down south into downtown. Quiet on the Missouri and Illinois sides. And we're really just off to a good start. So if you are traveling eastbound on 70, 64, 40, or 44, it's all good. And things look fine on the bridges downtown if you're headed in from Illinois. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, one group of people who didn't have to worry too much about the rain, at least the last couple of days, and probably the hail, are the people with Rhino Shield on the side of their house. Remember that bad hailstorm that happened? I believe it was last year sometime when it punched holes in the side of some siding. The people that had Rhino Shield right across the street from that, I know over in the Manchester Baldwin area, were unscathed by it because Rhino Shield forms a sort of a ceramic coating on your house, and the hail did not bother it. It's hard. It hardens. It's waterproof to 100%. And of course, what more could you ask for covering the outside of your home? If you are considering painting the outside of your home this summer, do me a favor. Just call my friend Darren. Let him come over and give you a free evaluation. He'll show you what Rhino Shield is. He'll show you what it does. He'll show you the 25-year warranty, and then you can make the best decision for you going forward. For me, many years ago, that best decision was Rhino Shield. It's beautifully durable, and you're going to love it. Call them at 877-25-RHINO, or just go online to 877-25rhino.com.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-MILLION. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us, and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600 or on the website bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, inmanwithanI.com. God bless.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Nailing it. Marc Cox. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
I can't get no satisfaction.
All right, so cleanup efforts continue after the storms last week. Of course, we have links on our website, 971talk.com, where you can donate to whatever charity organization you would prefer, a Red Cross, Catholic Charities, a Salvation Army. They're all out there doing good work, providing a shelter and food and clothing and stuff for people who were impacted by these storms. And, I got to thinking about how much work is going on right now with the number of trees, the volume of trees that got knocked over by this EF3 tornado that went through St. Louis. So I called my friend Chad Hansen of Hansen's Tree Service. Chad, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I had the pleasure of seeing you on Saturday at the Jeff Hansen Memorial Sporting Clay event, and a great job again there. But you'd probably been up all night at that point, hadn't you?
Yeah, we were up pretty late the night before. It's about a little after 1 a.m. Had some commercial properties that we work with, trying to get them cleaned up, and yeah, it's a mess downtown.
Well, I know you and I were talking about some of the damage in Forest Park, and then in Bell Fountain Cemetery. Is that correct?
Yeah. They just they got hit again. They got hit 2 or 3 years ago, and then just got hit again, and it's bad. I've seen several large 50-inch diameter trees that have what's called torsional cracking, which really only occurs when winds breach 150 miles an hour typically. Just crazy. Very mature large trees, and they're kind of twisted and snapped. It looks like kind of a bomb went off inside of them, just kind of blew them apart. And yeah, just crazy. It's one of the worst I've seen in St. Louis.
Yeah, I'll bet. So, just walk me through that. You guys obviously are ready for taking down huge trees. I know that from personal experience. But what's it like when you get your crews into a situation like that? Do you have to cut each one of those up and either haul off the logs, or are you able to cut up some of that right there on the scene? What happens?
No, a lot of it we cut up right there on the scene, and then we bring in other equipment and try to haul it all away. In large disaster zones, FEMA will sometimes get involved, and then you stack material at the curb, and FEMA will arrange for pickup. But I haven't heard of that happening yet, and typically it's months and months after the fact. So we usually, come in and get it right on the spot and get it out of there so people can get back to moving around and not block their driveways, and they can get access to their home again. So, yeah, it's quite the effort. It takes a lot of people, a lot of coordination, a lot of equipment to make it happen. But I've seen a lot of good tree care companies kind of come to the rescue. It kind of made me proud and happy. I was working just north of Forest Park on Friday night, trying to clean up a bunch of homes, and just seeing a coalition of tree companies kind of come in and do what I would call the right way. Only seen a couple that made me really nervous. So
yeah,
it was good to see guys do it the right way.
Which is cool, seeing people come together. That's what you like to see after a horrible tragedy like this. I know there's no way to officially gauge this, but based on the amount of destruction that you're seeing with the amount of these large trees that have come down, are you thinking this could take months, even with all these tree companies and people volunteering to help try to get these cleaned up?
Oh yeah. I think you're you're going to be months out before you see, it almost completely cleaned up. I think we're weeks away from getting all the, impacted homes with trees on actual structures cleaned up. But we're definitely months away before you see the grounds and everything else kind of completely cleaned out.
I don't know what the protocol is. I've used the word protocol a lot this morning. I don't know what that is in areas where they have large, old, mature trees like that. But at what point should a homeowner be worried about that if you have one on your property? Because what you just talked about there is a 50-inch diameter tree that looks like somebody grabbed it by the top and just violently twisted it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it takes a lot of force to do that to that mature of a tree. But what I tell people all the time is, obviously, if you see any dead limbs, that's a good start. That means it's in decline and probably a good candidate for removal. But if you have trees with what's called included bark, where they have like two unions that are growing side by side, and the bark goes down towards the ground where they come together, that is not a good sign. That means it's a weak union and it can split very easily in high winds. So that's normally one of the first things I look at when we're kind of diagnosing if a tree is going to be a candidate for removal, just due to risk.
Well, the great thing at Hanson's Tree Service, people can always call you guys, and you can send one of your arborists out as well to give advice on those things, right?
Absolutely. Yep. You can get an arborist evaluation. We can come out and tell you kind of what we think, what we see, and give you a risk evaluation. Well, I know that you guys are probably swamped right now, but I'm sure you've got plenty of crews out there working overtime to get this stuff done. And Chad, we certainly appreciate all that you do, my friend. And people can always go to hansonstree.com if you've got trees down on your property. You've got questions about one that's still standing. You guys will get out there and get it taken care of for them. Absolutely. Yeah, just get in touch with us and we'll be out there.
Very good. Chad, have a great morning, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you. We'll
talk to you soon. Chad Hanson there from Hanson's Tree, hansonstree.com. They've done so much work for me over the years. My daughter, I mentioned that, had a huge tree taken out of her yard, so they know how to do it. But like Chad says, there's a safe way to do it and there's not a safe way to do it. And he just said he was glad to see so many professionals out there helping do these things the right way the other night in the aftermath of this cleanup. They worked all night over the entire weekend to help clear trees from streets and buildings and all of that so they could get roads reopened.
Yeah, I believe that. And thinking about this taking months, it makes sense because there is so much destruction, and these aren't little tiny trees. These are massive, like 100-year-old trees that, it's going to take a while to get even just one tree up, especially if it's laying in the middle of a road. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's taking part in helping.
Yep, true. Hey, I tell you what, we're going to get to our friend John Lamping when we come back, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what happened at the end of the legislative session. Kind of, did it finish with a whimper or a bang? It depends on who you talk to. We'll get to John coming up.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning online learning program.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Designed by education experts, ABC Mouse seamlessly aligns with what your child is already learning in school. And with over 10,000 learning activities and more than 850 lessons, it's an engaging and comprehensive curriculum. More info at abcmouse.com/radio.
I have been teaching for 13 years, and I've never seen a program like ABC Mouse. It encompasses science, math, reading, social studies.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
More rain overnight, and we might get more this afternoon as well. Don't take any chances. If you've got leaks in your basement, it's prone to get wet when the soil gets drenched and soaked like this. Call Home Shield Foundation Repairs. Matt Hayes standing by. They will take care of you, and they'll make sure that the next time this happens, your basement will not be one of the ones getting moisture in it or ruining your belongings. Here's the deal. Matt will come in himself. He is a foundation specialist. He'll fix the problem. He'll waterproof the cracks. He can help with sump pump issues if you need one or you need one replaced, and they can fix those structural issues as well. If you got a wall that's leaning, that's serious. You need to get that taken care of. When he leaves, you will have a lifetime warranty, and they offer financing interest-free up to 21 months. Get a hold of them today. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. It's HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. 67 degrees now at 6:30. Thousands across the St. Louis metro are still without power this morning from Friday's storm, and then even more lost power overnight from the storms. Ameren is reporting almost 6,000 outages in Illinois and then close to 29,000 on the Missouri side. Ameren tells Channel 4 on a clear weather day with no debris, it can take up to 4 hours to replace a power pole, but with damage from the storm, it's not clear exactly how long it'll take. A plane trying to land at St. Louis Lambert Airport was forced to reroute after a helicopter crossed into its flight path. This Delta flight was coming in from Atlanta on Friday, and thankfully air traffic control warned the pilot about the helicopter. Helicopter landed safely. The plane kind of went around and thankfully was also able to land safely. In sports, Cardinals crushed the Tigers yesterday 11-4. Game 2 coming up tonight at 6:45. City faces Minnesota on the road tomorrow as part of the U.S. Open Cup round of 16. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, of course, speaking of electricity being out some places, we've got traffic signal issues, of course, throughout the area as a result. We've also got one reported northbound 141, a traffic signal issue past Forest Avenue. And there was some debris reported eastbound 70 near Goodfellow. When you drive through there, it was reported on the left side, so take care. And a stall eastbound 70. This one is just past Cary, but it's on the right shoulder, so it's not causing a massive delay. Now, we're at the time in the morning where traffic starts to slow just a little bit on northbound 55 right around Bayless in the reduced lanes section of the work zone. And on the Illinois side, we've got some slow-moving traffic this morning in both directions of Route 3, but it's north of Monsanto. So it looks to me like some people may be turning around and going the opposite way. But Route 3 at Monsanto jamming in both directions this morning, especially northbound. And there's some volume westbound 5564 between the 70 split and Route 3. Other than that, we're good. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, if you need a dentist, don't mess around. Go to Dr. Michael White down in Sunset Hills, and you can thank me later. My family and I have been customers down there, clients for, 8 years now, 7 or 8 years through braces and caps and fillings and all of it. We love going to see Dr. Michael White's office. His staff is fantastic. You're going to love working with him. Listen, they're right down there off of Lindbergh, close to 44, very convenient. SunsetHills.dentist is his website. Check out his Google reviews. This is what I love about Dr. White. He's always worked to make sure that his prices remain affordable. He has payment options if that's the issue for you. But this is what he always tells me. Don't let payment be the reason that you're not getting your dental needs taken care of. He wants to work to make you happy. His primary focus is make it as pain-free as humanly possible. You're going to love Dr. White. You're particularly going to love the people that work down there. Fantastic. We have been going there for many, many years now. Check him out. Tell him Marc Cox sent you. It's SunsetHills.dentist.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This Memorial Day weekend, bring your crew to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the D-backs. May 23rd to the 25th, catch great promotions all weekend long, including a Mason Win bobblehead and a Kid City Connect jersey giveaway. Kick off your summer with ballpark hot dogs, ice-cold beers, and entertainment for the whole family. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com. This is how summer is meant to be. See you at the ballpark.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Hey parents, looking for something fun and unforgettable to do with the kids? Bring the whole family to a Cardinals game at Busch Stadium. From kid-friendly activities and giveaways to awesome promotions like Kids Run the Bases. Your little ones will have a blast, and so will you. Check out Family Sundays, presented by Smithfield, where select tickets include a free jumbo hot dog and soda. There's nothing like sharing the magic of Cardinals baseball together. Make your memories this summer at Busch Stadium. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com.
Boom goes the dynamite. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
So if you missed our interview with the governor yesterday, of course, we focused a lot on storm cleanup because he was in town this weekend looking at that. But, of course, we also asked him about the end of the legislative session. And, one of his priorities for the year, not his biggest, I'm not saying it was his biggest priority. I mean, they did get rid of they got the crime thing dealt with in the city. But one of his priorities was this issue of financing for the Chiefs and Royals out in Kansas City, and that didn't get done. So the governor told us yesterday that he plans to call a special session just for that issue. Let's see what John Lamping thinks about that. Former Missouri Senator John Lamping on the phone with us this morning. John, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning to the two of you.
Absolutely. Good morning to you. I like Mike Kehoe. I've enjoyed having him on the air. He's impressed me in many ways so far as governor. I wish that he was calling a special session for, I don't know, IP reform, maybe. That would have been a good one.
Well, yeah, Mike's a deal maker. Your listeners probably know what Mike did for about 30 years is run a car dealership in Jefferson City. He had the Ford dealership. His advertising is famous for a Kehoe deal. And the idea of blending government with the private sector is one that Mike completely believes in. And so it's not a surprise that he'd be attracted to this deal. I heard the interview yesterday. He described the Royals and the Chiefs as a $3 billion business. He called it an investment. So that's fine that he's going to do that. What was left unsaid is that the bill that he tried to get pushed through in the final week of session is a bill that's never been heard in committee. That his making this a priority was unknown. It was in the background, but was unknown to the legislature specifically that he would try to pass it. The fact of the matter is, I don't think he expected to pass it in the regular session. And there's a deadline for the negotiations, I think, with the Chiefs. We're competing with Kansas. Kansas has got a hard deadline of the end of June. So he'll call a special session. And when that happens is the governor will craft a message calling the legislature back, and he can make it very narrow and specific or as broad as he would like. And I heard in the interview yesterday, he referenced some pre-existing, essentially tax credits programs that exist that will have to be modified probably because of the size of the ask. And he'll ideally he'll craft a very narrow message such that when the legislature goes back, they'll only be able to take up that one issue. I do say, though, that what happened in St. Louis is an interesting thing in that eventually the state will get around to financially supporting the area. I was actually in the legislature in May of 2011 is when the Joplin tornado occurred. Obviously, much bigger scale, 160 people died. The whole city almost got wiped out. And it wasn't until the regular session in 2012 that their ask for financial support, as well as kind of like streamlining the different processes, that was their ask, and we helped them with that. So I think Mike will call the session, and I think if the session is called, that he will come up with a deal.
Yeah, I would imagine that they will. A lot of pressure, I know. On what about the other issues that they did or didn't get to? You know, I hear conflicting reports. It really depends on who you talk to when they describe Cindy O'Loughlin 2024 version versus Cindy O'Loughlin in this latest legislative session, 2025.
Well, the big thing for us is the fact that we're going to have a chance to vote on another constitutional amendment change regarding abortion. The proposal that they were able to get through by using the parliamentary procedure, the previous question, to shut down debate was used, and this initiative will basically outlaw abortion with a few exceptions. And so that was the most important thing that they needed to get done. They got it done the way that they did. There's some people in the media that they kind of gnash their teeth when the Senate has to go to this far and stop proceedings. They feel like there should be every attempt made, and then ultimately a deal would be cut. But you know, if I were a liberal Democrat, there's no way I would ever cut a deal. And so this was how they had to proceed. And then the same thing for the changes to Proposition A to fix the paid leave, the extreme examples of paid leave. That was the one they probably should have been able to fix through legislation, and they were unable to get that done. So, the good news is session's over and our wallets are where they are. Overall, the biggest thing that happened in the session was, and I've mentioned it numerous times and nobody else wants to talk about it, is that they managed to figure out a way to raise our utility rates astronomically. Mm-hmm. The one tax cut they cut was capital gains tax, which dwarfs the size of the impact of the utility bill and is only focused at a narrow few. We won't have capital gains, but capital gains in Missouri only generates about $100 million, which is a very, very small tax cut. And again, it's specific to family-owned businesses that get sold, and that's the largest capital gain in Missouri, not stock trading. So anyway, we just, as much as we want the session to be over, we're going to get a special session, and it's going to happen pretty quick.
So going back to the fix for Amendment 3, I kind of have mixed feelings about whether Governor Kehoe should call for a special election or if he should just wait until next November to vote on it, because I would think, of course, we should get this sooner than later and, let's save more babies and all these things. But then I'm worried about turnout because for whatever reason, conservatives just can't seem to get their butts to the polls when it's not some big election. Like you think about what happens with school board. And I know that's a little bit different, but I mean, that's important too. And for some reason, conservatives don't show up. So I guess if you were Governor Mike Kehoe, what would you think would be best when it comes to this fix for Amendment 3? When should we vote on that?
Well, I think we're going to vote on it in November of next year. And the reason for that is kind of what you suggested, Kim, is it special elections, April elections, we don't have a big turnout. And so it's a function of who can drive people to the polls. And to the extent that there's a lot of money spent on this, there will be a lot of money spent this time. The other side could actually get their people to the polls. In November of 2026 is a general election. This is a very much still a Republican state. Republicans will go to the polls to vote. And all of the campaigns that are taking place will all be focused on this amendment. Every candidate that will be running for office will be campaigning on it. And I think our best chance of getting it passed is going to be then. I could be wrong if the groups decide that they think they can get it done in a special election. But if we call a special election, The hardest part is going to be getting our voters to the polls.
Yeah.
Whereas in November of 2026, our voters will be showing up because it's time to vote. The other thing, too, it's pretty interesting, is that in 2026, there'll be no U.S. Senate race. So there'll be obviously no statewide office holders except the auditor. So none of our candidates will be asked to take a hard stand on this, and it kind of frees them up. Governor Keogh can campaign, Schmitt can campaign, Hawley can campaign, and I hope that they do. The last time around, none of them really campaigned for the abortion amendment, and I think this time they have the opportunity to.
Well, I hope so. What's the potential impact on the CD2 race? I mean, they strengthened that district for Ann Wagner the last time they redistricted, but you're going to get a lot of, for lack of a better term, pink hat crazies coming to the polls, and those people, could they make that a closer race in CD2?
They could. They've got to find the right candidate. I think there's one or two on the Democratic side that could be the right candidate. It's still the way the map was drawn. It includes all of Franklin County and a big part of St. Charles County. And Ann's already announced her fundraising. I think she's raised almost $3 million. And so that's the one race that could have an impact on it. But she knows what's going on, and the other side hasn't even announced their candidate yet, and they've had an opportunity to think about it. And their side's going to need a big push. So that's a good point. That's the one that could be at risk. But we'll see.
John, always appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Yep, have good to get him on there. John Lamping, former. That's what I would worry about is this issue will drive the left to the polls. We know that. Will Republicans respond? That's the thing we don't have an answer to in a non-presidential election year, and it could put CD2 in play. Ann Wagner should have a comfortable 6 or 7 point margin in that district, but if you've got all the crazy pro abortion folks being driven to the polls with a bunch of ads on the TV that lie about what the amendment does, then it could have an impact on that. We'd really have to drive our people to get out and vote for sure. All right, coming up, we'll get to another news. Top of the hour, Senator Eric Schmitt is going to join us. He will chime in on the storms here in town and also that reconciliation bill that's coming up. He's also working on St. Louis as a defense tech hub around the nation to bring more jobs in here. We'll get to all that and more at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Looks like we've got an issue on the Illinois side this morning on Route 3. And, normally we see a jam on northbound Route 3 headed for Monsanto Avenue. It's usually a slow-moving train. Well, today's jam extends north of Monsanto Avenue as you head for the Poplar Street Bridge. And southbound Route 3 is jammed over there as well. So just bear that in mind. I can't tell exactly what is happening, but I can definitely see the jams. Now, if you are westbound on 55-64, it's a slow go, a little bit at the 70 split, and then a little bit of moderate volume on the bridge. It's not terrible. Westbound 40, a little slow at Boyle at this hour. Now, if you're eastbound on 70, it looks pretty good. And that's for Estelle into downtown. We do have slow pockets on southbound 61 this morning from the Flint Hill area down onto 64. Moderate volume at Prospect, but then it opens up. Northbound 270 still in good shape. Now, we've got signal issues, traffic signal issues along 141 this morning. They're on red flash at Marshall Road and at Briarhurst. We've got signal issues southbound 270 on the ramp to Big Bend and 44 at Big Bend. Remaining issues because of electricity problems this morning. So don't be surprised if you encounter some flashing lights. And northbound 55, a little bit of moderate volume at Bayless. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Time for you to get some new windows. Did you realize maybe the other day as you were looking out at some of these storms moving through that maybe you've got a seal broken in a window and you need to get that one replaced? It's not going to be very energy efficient if that's the problem. And that's what happens with windows as they age. It's not something homeowners like to have to deal with, but you're going to. And right now is a perfect time. Listen, in this high interest rate environment, Window World's got you taken care of. They're offering 18 to 36 months, same as cash financing. That's zero interest financing if you are approved for it. That can save you a lot of money. You get the work done now. You take your time paying for it. You don't pay any interest. I think that's great. So go check them out. WindowWorldSt.Louis.com, WindowWorldSTL.com. You're going to love their windows. I've had them in my house. I've seen the process. And here's what I'll tell you, and I'll swear to it. It's not some high pressure sales pitch. They're professionals. They come over, they show you what they've got. They have a lot of pride and respect in their work, and they've got a great product at a fantastic price, and they'll get you taken care of. You're going to love working with them. Check out their Google reviews and their rating with the Better Business Bureau. All important gauges of how good a company is, and it sets them apart. Their commitment to customer service absolutely sets them apart. You can call them and you can tell them you want them to come over, or you can just go to their website, 314-993-1800. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. That's 993-1800 or WindowWorldSTL.com.
The Cards, the Tigers.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Are your windows drafty, outdated, or hard to open? Choose Infinity from Marvin Windows. Crafted from durable fiberglass for superior energy efficiency, beauty, and performance. At Lakeside Renovation and Design, we specialize in custom-fit professional window installations that transform your home. Plus, with our lifetime workmanship warranty, you'll have peace of mind for years to come. Call Lakeside today or visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free window consultation. Replace with confidence. Choose Infinity from Marvin.
Is your Generac home standby generator ready for the next outage? Are you overdue for annual maintenance? Schedule an inspection today with Generator Supercenter and ensure your Generac generator is ready when you need it most. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions. So it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Who has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis? Is J.D. Powers Award winner 5 years in a row and has the nation's best warranty coverage. Renewal by Anderson, that's who. Take advantage of our great May sale. $279 off every window and $729 off every entry door or patio door with 0 payments and 0 interest for 18 months. Check it out at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1924. Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window.
The Annie Fry Show.
Ed Martin, what do you say to that?
I have spent 2 weeks in a fight for my confirmation life with a Republican who beat the heck out of me, right? So if Annie Fry said I was being a bad guy, I'd worry a little bit more, but I'm not really worried about some of these critics.
Weekdays from noon to 3. And now back to business on the Marc Cox Morning Show.
What's happening?
Go, you know the thing.
What the hell is going on?
In other news.
You know, Kim, I have been camping in Montana and Wyoming before, and I'm always afraid of bears. I'm kind of obsessed with it, and I've only ever seen one in like 400 yards, so it's not like I've ever encountered one. But occasionally you see one that's a problem. Yellowstone had this problem, and they had to euthanize a bear because they had these big trash cans that are bear proof, right? You have to There's a certain switch you have to hit you have to have hands to open the damn thing, basically. And then you put your garbage in there and you lock it, and the bears aren't supposed to be able to get to it. Well, one 400-pound, 11-year-old male grizzly figured out how to flip over this 800-pound garbage can and make the food dump out. And it kept doing it over and over again. So they finally had to take it out because most bears can't figure it out. This one was obviously smarter than the average bear.
And kept coming back. So they were worried, I guess.
Yeah,
that
they kept coming back to human areas.
So obviously I think human life needs to be protected first and foremost, but could they have moved the bear elsewhere?
Well, once they become conditioned to human food, they'll seek it out because it's easier.
But I mean,
so
yeah,
that's what
I
they
don't
worry
know.
about.
Anyway, I know a lot of people are angry about that whole story. This was probably one of my worst nightmares if you're flying on a plane, which I will be doing in about a month. There was a flight that was going from Germany to Spain. I guess this was actually last month. And the pilot had left the cockpit to go to the bathroom and left the co-pilot to fly the plane. Well, right away after the actual pilot left, the co-pilot fainted, passed out. And so the plane was just basically quite literally on autopilot for about 10 minutes. This plane was just flying itself. You have air traffic controllers trying to get a hold of somebody in the cockpit. No one can get a hold of anybody. But what happened is the pilot comes back from using the bathroom, trying to get in the door, can't get in the door, has to put in some emergency code to access it. They find the guy passed out, and they ended up having a doctor who was on board as a passenger and some of the crew members who were able to get this guy back up, and he was fine, but it's scary. I mean, your plane was just flying itself for a good 10 minutes.
Thank goodness for autopilot, huh? No kidding. This is a little too late for, I'm afraid, former President Biden, but they've now come up with a blood test to diagnose Alzheimer's disease because it's a very broad diagnosis. You can have dementia without having Alzheimer's, and sometimes they can't tell until after someone has passed away which of those two that they have.
Right.
So they've come up with, a neurologist at the Detroit Medical Center has come up with apparently a blood test, and they've done a trial of more than 6 million people. What does it say? No, they've reported more than 6 million people, and millions more around the world would have Alzheimer's. And this new test, they believe, is going to help them determine this particular brain plaque that leads to Alzheimer's. It's a leading marker. So that's
I thought it was like an autopsy you had to do unless it was early onset.
In some cases.
So that was big.
Yeah, that is big. All right, coming up, Senator Eric Schmitt at the top of the hour. We'll talk to him about the FEMA coverage for local storms. Stay tuned.
Men need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare. U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peter's does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
Springboard to Learning provides enriching learning experiences for students in grades pre-K through 12, offering a diverse range of arts-integrated programming designed to foster passionate and engaged learners. Their signature program, The Art of Baseball, teaches students to analyze and interpret data as they discover the connections between art, baseball, statistics, and the world of business. Check out their work on display at the Together Credit Union Plaza at Ballpark Village on May 20th, or visit their website at springboardstl.org. This nonprofit highlight is brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Here's the hard truth. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. And you see it every time you fill up your tank, buy groceries, or pay the bills. Prices are up. Your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven. Gold, an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance, one-on-one support, and transparent pricing. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar as a thank you. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law.
Welcome back to RX Watch. This alert is disturbing.
Right. A while back, we learned that companies like Johnson & Johnson use a mineral called talc in baby powder and other products.
And studies show that talc, when used for feminine hygiene, can cause ovarian cancer.
Now listen to this. RX Watch has learned that the talc they use is being mined in China.
Right, and talc mined in China contains heavy metal contaminants like chromium and magnesium, which are known to cause cancer. But China doesn't care.
So China gets the jobs and we get contaminated talc in our baby powder.
And ovarian cancer.
Right. With their specialized tests, the medical team at Onder Law can help you know if your ovarian cancer was caused by talc.
Onder Law has helped women for years with free and confidential consultation. You need to call Onder Law's pharma attorneys at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
President Trump will soon go to the Capitol. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, to meet with House Republicans and urge them to unite around what he calls one big, beautiful budget bill.
If we don't get it, that means the Democrats will have stopped us, and that means people will get a 68% tax increase, the largest in history.
The bill would extend the 2017 Trump tax cuts. It's a big part of it, but some want changes.
Blue state Republicans want higher caps on state and local tax or SALT deductions. Speaker Johnston is saying we are continuing to work on it. It is not a final resolution yet, but I think we're getting very close. President Trump seems to just want to get it over with today. He is going to leave ahead of a 9 a.m. closed door meeting on Capitol Hill as the clock ticks towards this deadline that Republicans set for themselves to get the big, beautiful bill passed by Monday.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. Democrats warn spending cuts in the bill will take away health coverage and food assistance for some Americans in need. A Democratic Congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, facing criminal charges, accused of assaulting and interfering with law enforcement in a clash with federal immigration agents at a New Jersey detention center earlier this month. Border czar Tom Homan just told Fox,
"You certainly can't put hands on an ICE agent. So, you know, she's going to have to pay the consequences for doing what she did. She broke the law, and we're going to hold her accountable."
Congresswoman McIver claims ICE agents escalated it, and they've distorted her actions, calling the charges purely political. Israel went after Hamas again overnight with airstrikes that Palestinians say killed at least 60 people. Britain, France, and Canada are urging the Israelis to halt this new offensive.
They say the level of human suffering is intolerable, with aid agencies warning of famine among Gaza's 2 million plus population. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday allowed 9 trucks carrying aid to enter.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. They've captured another fugitive in New Orleans, a man who was jailed for murder. He was one of 10 who broke out last Friday, 6 others on the run. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. If you're just leaving the house now, it's 7:03, quiet and 67 degrees. It was a human failure. That is why St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says the sirens did not go off before Friday's deadly tornado. Spencer says no one pushed the button, but there's no single person to blame because there was a lack of clear protocols on roles and responsibilities. Moving forward, it will be city policy for the fire department to issue any warnings and then activate the sirens. Senator Josh Hawley is warning insurance companies pay those tornado claims in full or risk getting subpoenaed. Hawley toured damaged neighborhoods in North St. Louis Friday. The senator is working with Governor Mike Kehoe to get a federal emergency declaration. Hawley's office also set up a hotline for Missourians to report any problems filing claims. In the Metro East, 22-year-old Elijah Thompson from Belleville is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly shooting 3 Fairview Heights police officers over the weekend. The shooting happened Saturday night around 9:45 on Potomac Drive. Officers were at the time responding to a call about a suspicious person. Well, one officer who was shot in the face is still in critical condition. Another was shot in the arm. And then the last officer was shot in the back, but thankfully his bulletproof vest protected him. It is 7:04 and 67 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, you love to see it. The Cardinals crushed the Tigers yesterday 11-4. Game 2 coming up tonight at 6:45. Hopefully the Storms can hold off. City faces Minnesota on the road tomorrow. That is part of the U.S. Open Cup round of 16. 67 degrees as we approach 7:05. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Issues with traffic signals throughout the area. Some are completely out with electricity out. Others are just on flash. And that's what's happening along 141 this morning. Marshall Road at 141 and 141 at Briarhorst. Northbound Lindbergh at Rott Road. Southbound 270, the ramp to Big Bend, and 44 at Big Bend. Just signal issues this morning. Now 70 eastbound looks great from Forestell into downtown. Southbound traffic on 61. There's some volume there, headed for 64 eastbound, which is slowing as you approach Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then it opens up. Northbound 270, a little bit of moderate volume right around Big Bend and Doherty Ferry. We've got eastbound Highway 30 a little slow at 270 this morning. It's not terrible. 141 is really pretty slow right now, at least at Bowles. And if you are traveling on northbound 55, it looks fine down south in the construction zone near Herculaneum. A little bit of volume comes and goes, though, at Bayless. On the Illinois side, some moderate volume westbound 55-64 from the 70 split across the Poplar. And northbound Route 3 jams as you approach Monsanto, but even north of there, headed for the bridge itself. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It's another day to keep an eye on the sky with scattered rain and thunderstorms today. The best chance for severe weather will be later on today, 79 for the high. Tonight, a fast fade in any scattered shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly partly cloudy, 55. Wednesday, it's a cool northwest flow, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 65. Thursday, sunny and 66. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our time 7:07. Temperature here downtown at the Arch is 67 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I respect that. We don't agree. Listen to both sides.
This,
let's get it on,
is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
All right, welcome into the Marc Cox Morning Show on a Tuesday morning, a mostly dry at this point, but we could get more rain today and then maybe another storm or two. Hopefully we'll get out of this mess soon. I was listening to Dave Murray, and it looks like we're in for some pretty clear weather for a few days after we get through this. The cleanup continues. You can always go to our website at 971talk.com. And, of course, we have all of the connections up there for you if you'd like to donate to help people who are still trying to clean up after this round of storms. And we had a second round last night. There's some power outages as a result of that, including our own Ethan Bright, whose home has been without power all night. But we are trying to help do what we can here and direct people to the right resources. And you can donate at 971talk.com. A bunch of links on there for you to go directly to those agencies and donate. So this has been a lot of talk about FEMA coming in and getting the help we need here in the greater St. Louis area. Right now, we've got Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt back with us. And Senator, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Mark. Good to be back with you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good to have you on this morning. You know, I know Senator Hawley was, I believe, here yesterday in town and surveying some of the damage that's around here. Do you have any contact with the White House or any idea when they might try to get some FEMA help in here and declare an emergency?
Yeah, FEMA is going to be on the ground tomorrow. And we actually have organized a call with the governor, the mayor, and FEMA officials actually later this morning to get more of an update also of sort of where they're at. But we were in contact immediately with Secretary Noem on Saturday morning. I was in town and actually on the ground Saturday with the governor and the mayor and surveyed the damage. It's pretty devastating, and I think it's the first tornado that there's loss of life in the city of St. Louis since the 1950s, I think. And
That's what I saw.
A native my whole life. I can't remember one really touching down in the city before. I grew up in Bridgeton. There's a lot of tornadoes that have rolled through North County over the years, but not in the city. So so FEMA's on the ground tomorrow. I spoke with President Trump on Saturday afternoon, and he was engaged. And I talked to Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff, too, just to establish contact to make sure that we're getting all the help that we need, and if there's any snags, we can work through those.
Yeah. So I mean, as a follow up to that, there's not a chance they're not going to help, right? I mean, we keep hearing the mayor say, "We're waiting." Is it just a natural delay in getting that process started?
Well, yeah, the process goes like this. So they'll do a initial damage assessment. And assuming the damage meets a certain threshold, and from everything that I saw, it would, the governor then requests a disaster be declared, the president, and then we would urge the president to do that. When that happens, that unlocks FEMA's ability then to effectively reimburse the locals and the highway patrol and all the people that are doing things right now to help people. They submit, for lack of a better term, they submit all those receipts and all the work that they've been doing, and then FEMA comes in and backfills all that. But the first thing that has to happen is there's an initial damage assessment, which is what FEMA is on the ground to do this week. The governor, who may have already actually requested this, and then the congressional delegation then urges the disaster declaration. Now, there's already been a disaster declaration in parts of eastern Missouri from earlier in the spring, so it may be as simple as just extending that if it hasn't already been extended. But that damage assessment's key to unlocking effectively the reimbursement. So,
sure.
I wanted to ask you about this one big, beautiful bill, because just about 8 minutes ago, I saw Congressman Jason Smith was posting about it and all the good that he feels it's doing. And obviously there are concerns from some of the GOP members about it. Are there any concerns or changes that you wish were in place?
Well, I want to make sure we're getting adequate budget savings. I know that's been that's a big point. So yes, there's a lot to love about the big, beautiful bill. We simply can't have a $4 trillion tax increase if those tax cuts from 2017 expire. That won't get a lot of play because it's the status quo. But if you don't do that, obviously that's a disaster. So that's kind of like the baseline there. And then, of course, you've got things in there like the no tax on tips, some of President Trump's priorities. Also in there is money for enhanced deportations and the things that President Trump needs for border security. That's part of what's in there from a funding perspective. There's funding in there for the Golden Dome and some of the increased defense spending for a more agile Pentagon with the reform that's happening there on the inside. There's actually some school choice provisions in there, something I'm advocating for individuals with disabilities to say for their long-term needs. There's a lot of great things in there that we can tout. I will say this, though. I think we need to stay focused on helping reset the conversation on government spending. We cannot keep spending $2 trillion we do not have. Now, the good news is I think with the economic, think of the four stools, you've got a rebalancing of trade now, you've got energy dominance, you've got tax reform and regulatory reform. I do think if we get all that done this year, the economy is going to move like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And then if you kind of hold the line on spending for a couple of years, that's how you get to a balanced budget. And that's certainly something that we've talked a lot about in the Senate.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You were mentioning the school choice issue. What's that got to do with the reconciliation bill? How does that fit in there?
It unlocks. So think of what Missouri was able to do last year on allowing contributions to be allowed to use for scholarships for private and parochial schools. This would create the same sort of thing at the federal level, which would open up more opportunities for more students to receive those scholarships to go to the school that they want to go to regardless of their zip code. And so that's something I wrote an op-ed with Senator Banks from Indiana advocating for that. There is some of that in the House bill. We'd like to see it expanded, but at least we've got a foothold in that, which would be a big deal for families.
Yeah. Is there a cost to that associated with, it's a tax credit, right? That you get?
It is. So effectively, yes, it's a tax credit. It's a contribution credit essentially. So donors would make contributions like they do in Missouri and they get an offset from their taxes, but those dollars then go to students. And effective for students and families that want to have options. And we're talking about the city of St. Louis and what the cleanup means, but I think we need to stay focused too on what those opportunities are for kids, middle-class kids, poorer kids who just don't have some of those opportunities so that they can go to the school that they want to. And so that would be a big deal if that ends up in here. So the idea is you put all this stuff in there and you work through it and we get it done. The president is actually en route in about an hour to the House caucus. He's going to be speaking with them this morning. And it's, the Senate isn't just sort of, we do technically have to wait on what the House sends over, but
Right.
There's a lot of conversations that are happening already within our Senate conference and then also with our colleagues in the House and with the White House.
Well, that's fantastic. Senator Eric Schmitt, listen, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes this morning for those updates. Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt there. Good to get him on, and hopefully they've got the big, beautiful bill over there soon. I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to Eric Burleson the last couple of days. There were a few congressmen who wanted to see some changes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what the president's going over there to talk with them about this
That's
morning.
what I wondered, because remember we had Caroline Leavitt at the daily press briefing yesterday emphasizing the importance of all the Republicans coming together to support this, saying this is the time we have to unify behind President Trump and this bill.
If they're, it can be a tough pill to swallow when you've gone out and campaigned on never supporting a debt limit increase or tax increase on this or that or whatever, however that works out, and then you're being told by your president you need to support this. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk to. I'll check in with Burleson and see what he's got on it. Coming up, we got Todd Piro, host of Fox and Friends First, joining us as always on a Tuesday morning. And at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk, oddly enough, about that same reconciliation bill where they changed some language that would have fixed the National Firearms Act. We'll talk to Aidan Johnston from gun owners at about 7:37. Back in a minute.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a stall reported northbound 270, a little bit past Dorset. Watch for that on the right-hand side. And some traffic signal issues throughout the area. The latest to be mentioned is northbound 170 at Airport Road. There were also signal problems eastbound 70 onto Fairgrounds Road. And we've had issues on 141 this morning as well. There are problems at Marshall Road and also at Briarhorst. So just be aware of that. Now, on the interstates, we look good on eastbound 70, and that's from Wright City all the way into downtown. Now, 64, there's some volume out west, southbound 61, ramping onto 64. But after Lake St. Louis Boulevard, things open up. A little bit slow at Timberlake Manor and at Big Bend. Northbound 270, just moderate volume in pockets, 55 through Manchester. Northbound 55, slowing in the right lanes at 270, and then at Bayless. And on the Illinois side, westbound 55, 64, slowing pretty much from the 70 split across the Poplar Street Bridge. Northbound Route 3 is slow from almost Judith Lane to the bridge itself. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you wonder if you have saved enough money to retire? I think a lot of people do. And I think we think, okay, well, we've been stashing it away for all these years. But now do I have a plan, or how do I make this work efficiently for me in retirement? And this is why I love the idea of this 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. And it's put on by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. And they teach you what you need to know. Well, here's a couple ideas on how to reduce your taxes. Here's how to maximize your Social Security. Here's what to do if something comes up that's a big expense in retirement. Now, they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis for free, but they want you to bring 3 canned goods for a St. Louis Crisis Nursery, which I love. Now, there are some openings, but you have to register. So call 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012, and just kind of get a handle on what's going on retirement-wise.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how, learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team and get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007.
If you're looking for the best eye care in St. Louis, look no further than the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andrew Royer. Make your appointment today at yourEyeDoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Miss a morning and you'll miss a lot. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
All right, just back from creating his own shell formation on the beach that others just happen to stumble across. Maybe James Comey. It is Todd Piro, the host of Fox and Friends First.
You know, my shell formation said, "Help me, I'm tired. I am so tired right now. Can we just talk amongst gals here?"
Yeah, please.
I overscheduled last week. Now, I looked at it and said, okay, I'm coming off a vacation. Let's push it. Let's just do everything last week. And I thought I had a pretty good week last week. I thought I got a lot of stuff done. I cannot function. We're 2 days in. I'm speaking in tongues, kids.
Wow. Todd, how do we know you weren't the one who made the 86-47 shell formation if you were conveniently off last week?
I was off the week before, but
that's right.
You don't know. Maybe I had it there. Maybe I had it under wraps. Maybe, because let's face it, that was intricate. It took a little time, took a little effort. Maybe I had it under wraps and then I covered it. And Jimbo and I had this whole big coordinated thing where, as part of his book promotion, he was going to walk by it and see it. And so, yeah, this is all me. You snuffed me out, Kim St. Ange.
I knew it.
I loved the memes that came out around that. My favorite one was the one that said 8675309.
I can't say that without singing it.
I know. Everybody does. Yeah, they had a ball, and then they had Comey out this yesterday. I guess they trotted him out on MSNBC. claiming complete denial of knowing what to 86 someone meant. I've known that for as long as I can remember. How could James Comey not be aware of that?
The number one guy in law enforcement for many years there. It's so ridiculous.
It's like a mob term or something. I mean, it's been around forever.
So why was he even brought in for questioning then? If nothing, I mean, do we even think anything's going to come of that?
No, I'll bet probably not, but probably just to prove that they could. I don't know.
Flexing?
Flexing a little bit.
I remember I had just started at Fox when Comey got the axe. And I remember thinking, what have I gotten myself into? This Donald Trump cat, he's crazy. He's just firing people for no reason. And boy, over the intervening 8 years, we've learned he kind of has a method to his madness. And when you want to talk about crazy, Jim Comey is the top of the deep state I'm crazy list. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He and Brennan and all of them kind of top that list, and he's clearly got a bone to pick. But, it worked out well for him because he's getting a lot of publicity for his book. So there's a method to his madness, I guess. How about this?
I know they say,
go ahead.
Sorry, I know they say all publicity is good publicity, but is this getting people to want to buy his book? I mean, to me, this looks like, wow, this guy cuckoo, I'm just going to avoid it. But that's just me.
Yeah, I would agree. Todd, anxious to get your thoughts. I know you're not a doctor, but you don't play one on TV. But is there any chance in anybody's mind that Joe Biden has had cancer for 4 years and the White House hid that information? I don't know how there could be any other answer to this.
So I spent my show yesterday trying to ask this in a journalistic way and not making conclusions because I am not a doctor. I ask questions on the timing because I truly am curious. I do, or at least yesterday, I was curious. I had that journalistic wonder. And so I asked questions like that. And then hours later, like 3 hours later, Zeke Emanuel, an actual doctor, is like, there's no way this thing can grow that aggressively in 4 months, validating my suspicions. But I mean, look, I feel like we were right to tiptoe around it if we are not doctors.
Sure.
But the fact that all these doctors are coming out now and saying there is no medical way it could metastasize into the bones in 4 months implies that at some point during his presidency, and I might add, at some point where he should have been under the greatest medical care that any human can receive, I call it the CEO package times infinity, that this wasn't caught. And again, here's where I'm going to go over my skis on being a doctor.
Oh, no. What have we done here?
Have I got over my skis?
I thought maybe Todd was somehow playing that, which wouldn't make sense.
Sure.
But
That would be very impressive. There is no way that on a standard PSA or the digital exam, and I don't want to go into what the digital exam is. Everybody at home that's older knows what the digital is. There is no way, there is no medical way that this cancer that Joe Biden has would not have been found vis-a-vis the PSA or the digital. It's why they do them, and I'm 100% certain of that. So that implies they either did not do these, they covered them up, or some combination thereof. Actually, going back to the first, if they didn't do it, that is medical malpractice because I get it.
Well,
and I'm a young kid.
And don't you find the timing weird? Mark pointed this out, and I thought it was a really good point. The Robert Hur audio, Axios releases that, what was it, Saturday? And then Sunday is when the news breaks about his cancer diagnosis. So you have to question. I mean, it's really sad what he's going through, but you have to question the timing of it of, hey, this wasn't such a good look for Biden. So were they choosing to release it on Sunday to kind of, distract people, basically?
You mean like he dropped out of the race on a Sunday?
Maybe.
Yeah, just like that.
Sunday is the day of rest. Apparently not for Joe Biden. And it underscores a lot of other questions. And I'm not ready. And again, here's what I can't do medically. I can't tie the mental to the physical here.
Right.
In other words,
Right.
the mental denouement that we saw from Joe Biden was connected to this. But I will say, and I was on doing another radio hit and they said this, and I thought hard about this, chemo brain, because, my mom's going through this right now. And, I will literally yell at her like, dude, I just said this. Like, wake the hell up. And I'm like, oh, my God, Mom, you're going through something. Let me stop being an Italian son and being a loving son. So
I get it.
Could that be tied to this if they're not telling us about a course of treatment that he may or may not have had?
Yeah.
Again, all questions we need to ask.
Todd, we're out of time, my friend. Thank you.
Have a great week.
All right, hang in there. Todd Piro, host of Fox and Friends First. Coming up, we're going to get to 2A Tuesday and talk a little bit more about the National Firearms Act. We'll be back in just a minute.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us. And we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529, or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Well, if you've got one of those irritating situations at home where your driveway or your sidewalk leading up to your front porch, the concrete has become uneven, or you stumble or you trip, you hit your toe on it all the time, you don't have to put up with that stuff. My friends at Home Shield Foundation Repairs, they fix things like that regularly. They can do it in basements, and they can do it outside on your driveway or your sidewalk, wherever it is, your front porch. My friend Matt Hayes is the local owner of this company. He's the one that'll be coming out to give you your estimate, and they just use polyjacking, and they level that concrete back up to where it needs to be. You don't need to re-pour the whole pad. They can fix this for you in a hurry. He's shown me lots of examples where he's gone to listeners' homes and been able to lift up that concrete or lift up a front porch and get it taken care of. Reach out to them. They've even got some great financing opportunities as well for you. Check them out. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. Starting out the morning at 7:30 at 67 degrees. Thousands across the St. Louis metro are still without power this morning from Friday's storm, and then even more lost power from storms overnight. Ameren is reporting almost 3,000 outages in Illinois and then close to 29,000 on the Missouri side. Ameren tells Channel 4 on a clear weather day with no debris, it can take up to 4 hours to replace a power pole. But with all this damage from the storm, it's not exactly clear how long this whole process will take. A plane trying to land at St. Louis Lambert Airport was forced to reroute after a helicopter crossed into its flight path. The Delta flight was coming in from Atlanta Friday, and thankfully air traffic control warned the pilot about the helicopter. Well, the helicopter was able to land safely. The plane had to basically circle around, but was also thankfully able to land safely. In sports, the Cardinals crushed the Tigers 11-4 yesterday. Game 2 tonight, 6:45. City faces Minnesota on the road tomorrow as part of the U.S. Open Cup round of 16. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. I'll tell you what, it has not been a bad commute this morning. If you are just headed out, there's some volume on northbound 55. In the right lanes at 270 and also at Bayless. Northbound 270, slow pockets between 55 and Manchester. It's only moderate volume. Southbound 61 slows ramping on to 64. And we've got some volume eastbound 6440, mainly at Clarkson and Big Bend. Mostly moderate volume along eastbound 70 in the O'Fallon area and headed for 270. But we've had signal issues and signals on red flash this morning along northbound 141 has been specifically affected, and they've been on red flash at Marshall Road and at Briarhurst, and it's caused a little bit of a delay. If you are headed in from Illinois, there's some slow pockets, 5570 westbound from the 64 split across the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, time for me to tell you about my friends at the Range St. Louis West. I'm planning to swing by there later today myself. In fact, you're going to love what they do out at the range. Listen, if you've been looking for that just perfect rifle or handgun, they've got one of the best selections in town, and you're dealing with people who are going to educate you and answer your questions, and they've got a great selection. Any gun they've got upstairs, you can go downstairs on the range and you can shoot before you buy it, which is, I think, a huge advantage for what they do at the range. You're going to love this veteran-owned a business here in 14803 Manchester Road in Baldwin, right across from Velasquez Park. Beautiful on a rainy day. Go out there, shoot on the indoor range. It is fantastic. Now, here's the membership special. If you're a member, and you don't have to be, but it has its advantages, you're going to get 10% off on all firearms the month of May. That's double the normal 5% discount. You also get 10% off on accessories, 10% off on ammo. You get discounts on classes and free lanes. Go out and check out the Range St. Louis West. You're going to love it. I'll see you at the range. You can shop online right now at therangestl.com.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us, and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600 or on the website bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
The Cards, the Tigers.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45.
Play ball.
Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call today. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. Visit ZeroResSL.com and tell me what the Mark Reardon special, or call 314-474-2020.
If he was in the White House press room, he'd always get called on. Marc Cox.
AI assistant, I can summarize key contact.
The Marc Cox Morning Show, on the air and streaming at 971talk.com.
Should I stay or should I go? If you say that you are mine, I'll be here till the end of time. So you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? It's always tease, tease, tease. You're happy when I'm on my knees. One day is fine and next is black.
All right, welcome back. We're going to get to 2A Tuesday here in just a moment. We're trying to get a hold of Aidan Johnston from Gun Owners of America. So when we get him on the phone here in a minute, we'll get started with that. I did want to mention something, and I wasn't allowed to say anything yesterday. So normally on Mondays, we talk to our friend Jessie Jane Duff in the 8 o'clock hour. Here's why we couldn't talk to her yesterday. Because Jessie Jane has been appointed Deputy Assistant Secretary with the Department of Labor, focusing on Veterans Employment Transition Services. So she told me one time that she was under consideration for a job with the administration, and she she couldn't give me many details on it. And then when she told me that that she was about to be appointed, she said, once this happens, I'm probably not going to be able to be on your show for a while. So I was kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then yesterday she canceled on us and then told us she was about to be appointed. So she just got sworn in yesterday morning and told me I can now announce this. So you're hearing this for the very first time. Jessie Jane, we're going to reach out to her PR people now that she's sworn in and find out how to request her through media. But probably we won't have her on regularly anymore because of her new job. It's not going to allow her to do that. So anyway, congratulations to Jessie Jane. You know, she did yeoman's work for Donald Trump during that election as president of veterans for Trump. And I kept waiting for her to be appointed to some position within the administration. And the first 100 days was just such a blur. Mm-hmm. It's just Donald Trump's just now getting around to starting to appoint judges. Did you see that yesterday?
No.
Like he's been so busy doing everything else. They're just now starting to appoint federal judges to start filling positions that have been open for a while. And I mean, I guess I'm not surprised if you're down to the level of an assistant secretary position. It's just taken them a little while to get there. But congratulations to Jessie Jane Duff. She's gonna do a great job in that role, and maybe we can get her on the air here at some point and talk to her about what her focus is going to be. Veterans Employment Transition Services. I mean, I can't think of a better person for that role than Jessie Jane. Obviously, she's a gunnery sergeant, retired, and she's passionate about veterans issues. And if she can do something to impact helping them transition into employment, because that's such an issue in a lot of cases, mm-hmm. I'm sure she's going to excel at that.
That's cool. That's a big deal. I'm not surprised. I thought she wasn't thinking that I thought she told us a while back she didn't feel like she would have a role in the administration. Obviously something changed.
Well, I don't know if it was that. I think what she said was she just wasn't sure. I mean, and I guess you would, if you're waiting on an appointment of some sort, you might start to lose faith after a little while that it's going to happen. But it has happened, and I'm very happy for her. Speaking of veterans, Mark Schmitt, the father of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitt, who died in Abbey-Gate, but in that explosion, we're going to have him on the show, I think, later this week, because he's doing this Freedom 13 effort, which is fantastic. And if you've not followed it, it is vast in scope what he's trying to do here. Like, he's already acquired land, and he's got accommodations now here in Missouri, a big piece of land for veterans to go and spend time and regroup. And, you know, it's fantastic what he's doing. He's trying to do it in all 50 states.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, it's taken him a while to get the foothold and get this first one going. And now he's trying to get chapters in 50 different states where they'll try to do the same thing. And, we're going to help him in any way we can. I do know, for example, one thing he's looking for is a skid steer. If you know anybody that's got one that might be willing to either donate it or help out with the Freedom 13, go to freedom13.org and let Mark Schmitt know, or reach out to me and I'll let him know, because I know that they've been looking specifically for that piece of equipment to kind of help out with what they're doing on that land out there. All right, let's get to 2A Tuesday, please.
If you ban them in the future, the bullets will have been shot and there won't be any more available.
So you don't shoot deer with a bullet that size. If you do, you could cook it at the same time.
Put that double barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
This is 2A Tuesday, brought to you by the Range St. Louis West.
All right, Aidan Johnston with us, Federal Affairs Director at Gun Owners of America. Aidan, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. So let me get right into this. I've been following this story. I know gun owners has too, with the NFA and any changes to it that might be wrapped into this reconciliation bill in Congress. And that seems to have lost steam. I saw you guys tweeted this out yesterday on X that one thing they are doing is repealing the excise tax on indoor tanning services, but we can't seem to fix the NFA. What's going on here?
Well, look, this is ridiculous. We are trying to repeal parts of the NFA. We're trying to get suppressors and short-barreled firearms out of the National Firearms Act using the reconciliation process because it's a tax bill.
Right.
And because in the reconciliation process, you can mess with taxes. You can levy a new one. You can strike an old one. And that's exactly what Congress is doing with this federal excise tax on tanning salons. They said, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to strike it from the tax code. But then when we went to the Ways and Means Committee and said, hey, can you strike the NFA tax? Can you take all the restrictions away? They're like, oh, no, it's not possible, And so I think it's just a total double standard for the Second Amendment. They just do not want to put their necks out on the line, put their money where their mouth is, where they campaigned, and actually help us restore Second Amendment rights. So that's why we've been trying to hold them accountable these last few days.
Yeah, I would think, and I could be wrong here, but you pay a $200 tax stamp in order for the right to then turn around and pay, what, $700, $800, $1,000 for a suppressor. And it can't amount to that much money for the federal government. That cannot be a significant amount of income for the federal government.
Well, it comes down to about $2 billion over 10 years, actually. It might be more than you would think. But in Washington, D.C., unfortunately, that's just a drop in the bucket of the federal spending. And so, they're working with hundreds of billions of dollars and trillions of dollars in spending in every kind of bill here. And so to say, like, well, I don't know if we can afford that. I mean, it really is not an acceptable answer in Washington, D.C., especially since we shouldn't be taking that kind of money in the first place, right? That's like illicit revenue to be taxing a constitutional right and then pocketing the difference. That's just not what the federal government was meant to do.
Right. Well, and the easy solution would be just to remove suppressors from the NFA, because that's ridiculous in the first place. But it sounds like they won't do it because they're making money off of it. That's just disgusting. I would direct people to gunowners.org. Aidan, I'm running a little short here, but I always appreciate having you on, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the fight's not over. So if anyone's listening, call your congressman, and thanks for your help, guys.
You bet. Thank you, Aidan. Always good to get him on here. He's a hometown boy done well, working for gun owners now. We appreciate him.
Forgot he was hometown.
Yeah. I think he's from I forget which high school he went to. I apologize.
Was it one of the private schools, I think?
Might have been. Good to get. We'll ask him next time we get him on. What are we talking about today in Kim on a Whim?
Well, housing for college students around the world, but here in the United States, no doubt can add up. Well, there could be a really simple solution to that. One group's already doing it, as long as these students are willing to give up some of their time and offer companionship. I want to run this idea by you when we come back.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res, and let me give you a little incentive and inspiration to get your home really, really clean the right way. And it's not just about the carpet cleaning, although that's what they really specialize in. They're professional carpet cleaners. They've been in St. Louis and in Missouri for a long time, but Zero Res can handle every surface in your home. Carpets, tile and grout, hardwood, laminate, stone, upholstery, rugs, and air ducts. And you know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any of the dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that other carpet cleaners use. Don't risk the other guys. Don't do DIY. I've made that mistake. Your carpets are going to be worse off in the long run. So this month, take advantage of a great offer. Get 3 rooms, zero resified from St. Louis's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner, starting at $129, and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean air. Call Zero Res right now, 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Say you want the Mark Reardon or the 97.1 FM Talk special. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
All right, time for me to brag about Pro Outdoor. The folks over there are fantastic. They just came out and installed a residential lighting package, the uplighting on the outside of my house, and wow, what a difference it makes. You've got to see this. I'm going to post the picture up on Facebook today so you can go there and check it out. You can do the same thing. They're happy to come out and give you a free estimate on that. Right now, they're giving away a residential lighting package worth up to $2,500. There's no purchase necessary. Go to their website, prooutdoor.com, click on residential lighting, and you'll see the form there. Fill it out, enter. You can't win if you don't enter. They're going to pick a winner on June 6th. And you have a chance to get your home looking just as good as mine does right now. Thank you to my friends at Pro Outdoor. 636-695-7800. Call them with any questions you might have. It's all explained on the website, but they do irrigation systems. They service irrigation systems. They can install them for you in a heartbeat. They can even put in like drain tiles to get water draining away from the foundation of your house, if that's what you're looking for. So check them out online. It's prooutdoor.com.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a stall westbound 70 past 79. Now it's blocking the right lane. They've also got the right shoulder blocked. So just bear that in mind. But it hasn't been a terrible commute this morning. But we've had problems with signals on red flash throughout the area. So just bear that in mind. Now, if you are eastbound on 70, we've now got some moderate volume through the O'Fallon area and a little bit at Lindbergh. Then things open up. Southbound 61, some moderate volume headed for 64 this morning. And that's slow at Lake St. Louis Boulevard and at Clarkson and approaching 170 through Big Bend. Now, westbound is lined up, headed for Boyle this morning. We've got southbound 270 with some moderate volume too, headed down toward Ladue Road. There was an accident reported on the ramp southbound 270 to 364 to the Page extension. Now, we also have volume southbound on in the inner belt as you head down towards 64. Signal problems this morning along 141 causing delays on either side of 44. Northbound 55 jammed at Bayless and heavy traffic on the Illinois side. 64 is back near 25th Street, 5570 to 203, and then slow pockets between there and across the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living. Modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Devastating storms impacted our community. Food, clean water, and volunteers are all needed at this time. For a list of resources and ways to give back, visit 971talk.com. It's 97.1 Talk in action. Fighting and winning. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
College is already expensive enough, and then you tack on housing costs on top of that, and it's just astronomical. These students come out and they're hoping to get a decent salary, but right out of the gate, you might not. And now you have tens of thousands of dollars in debt, unless you were lucky enough to have your parents pay for it, or you had scholarships, or you worked your whole college career and paid it off as you went. But that's tough if you're taking a lot of hours of classes.
Or if tuition's $40,000.
Also that,
year,
which by the way, I mean, even if obviously we would have in-state for Mizzou, which is where I went, and it's still expensive.
$27,000 a year.
Yeah, I
happen to know all this
mine,
right now.
But, well, I'm sure you do. I paid off my student loans. I had a little help from my parents, not much. I think they paid like a year, but it really, really adds up. I think this is so cool. This has actually been going on now for some time, about 10, 12 years or so. But they're saying it's been really successful. It was a Dutch nursing home that implemented this really unique program where they're offering free rent to college students in exchange for their time and companionship. So in exchange for 30 hours of these students' time and companionship each month, these local college students can live in that care center rent-free. The idea is that they're there just to be friends with these folks who live there. because obviously studies show that if you have these friendships, it can help with stress levels and lower depression and boost self-esteem. Some of these older folks might not have family nearby, people who are coming to visit them. And when you're dealing with a shortage of student housing in some cases and prices that are through the roof, no pun intended, this seems like a great solution. I mean, why could this not be? I understand you have to have the space in these care centers.
That's the issue.
And they're obviously wanting to fill it up with people who
every bed
so they can make money. I understand that, but this seems like a simple solution if they have the space.
It sounds to me like, where was this? Norway?
This is some Dutch nursing home.
So it sounds to me like they're far more interested in the patients there than we are in the United States. It's just honestly, because in the US they squeeze every dime they can out of every inch of available space at these nursing homes. They've got extreme labor costs. They've got a lot of issues. I don't know what their profit margin is, but they're not giving up a room just so somebody will donate some of their time to make the residents feel better. That's not happening.
It seems like other countries just care more about quality of life. Like I remember that documentary that interviewed all these people who have lived past 100, and they asked what their secret is. And the majority of them talked about the sense of community. Obviously, they're eating better food. They're probably exercising more. They're walking. They don't have cars in some of these communities. That's clearly a factor. But it's the sense of community, too, that I think can have a big impact.
I've traveled to some just idyllic little towns in Europe where I'm sure people are healthier because they're walking to the market every day and getting fresh food and, all of that stuff. I still wouldn't trade it for my life in the United States. I mean, we've got our warts, but their laid back approach to things over there just wouldn't. I mean, it's because of the way their socialist democracy is structured. I don't mean to get too deep into that, but I mean, I do believe that's got something that they don't care. They don't particularly care. None of them really tend to care about how much money they're making. They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Their life's the same every day, no matter what, pretty much.
They take 2 hours. I remember when I studied abroad in Belgium, they would take like an hour, 2 hour lunch break.
Now you dream that, but wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I would walk in a shop where, the shopkeeper that the employee, it's an employee, not the owner, is making X amount of dollars, and that's all they're going to make, or euros or whatever they're making. And customer service is not at the top of their list because it's just a job. I don't know. I'm just not overly, it's beautiful. I love to visit, but I don't know if I'd want to live in that situation.
It is cool though, because the kids it's not their role to go around cleaning and doing all these things, but they do.
Don't they go to school for free over there anyway?
They do help with various tasks like meals and reception work. They help them with computers and their phones and different things. So there is some level of, they're providing a service also to a degree.
True.
That could help.
True. Little trade going on.
Yeah.
So they're using these kids to replace paid employees?
Well, I'm sure they're still paid employees, but maybe they need fewer of them because they have these students who are living there.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm sure the residents are enjoying it greatly.
They look so happy. There's this really cute picture of them in the pool together, Mark. It's
plus it would get you used to that.
Plus
it would get you used to that smell, so that when you got older, it would seem normal to you.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess
that's the takeaway from the story, Mark.
That's the takeaway. You're welcome.
Agree.
Coming up, we'll get to Ryan Wiggins in the next hour, host of Wiggins America. Stay tuned.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar. And maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Barry Door and Window offers a personalized experience with endless customization for all types of exterior and interior doors, built in-house. We also have high-quality wood or vinyl windows that never compromise your dreams, with a strong 5-year window labor warranty. Don't forget our stunning garage doors. Best of all, our installations are performed by our own expert installers. At Barry Door and Window, we welcome you to a higher standard of customization and quality.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
From the White House to the House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 1 minute ago, President Trump arrived at the Capitol, where one Republican tells Fox it's tense here as the president tries to unite his party around what he calls one big, beautiful budget bill. If it doesn't pass,
people will get a 68% tax increase, the largest in history. And if we do get it, we're going to have the largest tax decrease in history.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports from the Capitol.
GOP members from states like New York, California, and New Jersey want to see an increase to the state and local tax deduction as part of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, and the current proposal to raise the SALT cap from $10,000 to $30,000 isn't good enough. SALT critics say further increases to the cap will need to be paid for.
Republican spending cuts already in the bill to offset extending the 2017 Trump tax cuts have Democrats warning that Medicaid health coverage and food assistance will be taken away from some Americans in need. Later today, there will be a hearing in the House as Republicans focus on Democrats interfering with immigration and customs enforcement. Now, one Democrat, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, is facing criminal charges over this encounter at an ICE detention facility in New Jersey earlier this month.
She's shoving and elbowing an ICE agent, according to prosecutors. The video released by DHS is just one of many pieces of evidence, I'm told, that interim U.S. Attorney Alita Habba tells Fox led to several felony charges of assaulting, impeding, or interfering with law enforcement.
That's Fox's Alexis McAdams in Newark. 6 escaped prisoners still on the run in Louisiana. They were among the 10 who broke out of a jail in New Orleans early Friday. A 4th fugitive captured last night.
All 4 inmates who have been caught were found within city limits. A source close to the investigation tells Fox News that authorities believe the other 6 are also still in New Orleans.
Fox's Nate Foy. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 8:03 our time right now, 67 degrees downtown at the Arch. It was a human failure. That's why St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says the sirens did not go off before Friday's deadly tornado. Spencer says no one pushed the button, but there's no single person, she says, to blame because there was a lack of clear protocols on roles and responsibilities. Moving forward, it will be the city policy for the fire department to issue any warnings and then activate the sirens. Senator Josh Hawley is warning insurance companies pay those tornado claims in full or risk getting subpoenaed. Hawley toured damaged neighborhoods in North St. Louis Friday. The senator is working with Governor Mike Kehoe to get a federal emergency declaration. Hawley's office also set up a hotline for Missourians to report any problems filing claims. In the Metro East, 22-year-old Elijah Thompson from Belleville is facing attempted murder charges for allegedly shooting 3 Fairview Heights police officers over the weekend. The shooting happened Saturday night around 9:45 on Potomac Drive. At the time, officers were responding to a call about a suspicious person. One of the officers who was shot in the face is still in critical condition. Another was shot in the arm. And then the last officer who was shot in the back, well, thankfully he's okay because his bulletproof vest protected him. Our time is 8:04, 67 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. All right, in sports, Cardinals crushed, I think that's fair to say. They crushed the Tigers 11-4 yesterday. Game 2 coming up tonight at 6:45, hoping that none of this weather that we're expecting later on today has any sort of an impact on that. We shall see. And then City faces Minnesota on the road tomorrow as part of the U.S. Open Cup round of 16. 67 degrees now as we approach 8:05. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Let's start on the Illinois side, where we've got volume westbound 5564 from the 70 split across the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound 44 slowing in front of the Arch grounds. Westbound 64 slowing at Boyle. And we've got eastbound traffic on 64, a little slow out at Prospect, and then in pockets Lindbergh through Big Bend. And that, of course, has created a little bit of a delay on southbound 170 headed for 64. Now, 70 eastbound looks pretty good. It's a little bit off the pace at Jennings Station Road, but that's the worst of it. We've had signal problems this morning on 141 on either side of 44. 44 eastbound slowing between 141 and 270. Northbound 270, slow pockets between 21 and Manchester. Southbound has been a slow go at Ladue Road. And 55 northbound looks fine down south, but it is slowing around Bayless in the construction zone as you head closer to downtown. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
It's another day to keep an eye on the sky with scattered rain and thunderstorms today. The best chance for severe weather will be later on today, 79 for the high. Tonight, a fast fade in any scattered shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly partly cloudy, 55. Wednesday, it's a cool northwest flow, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 65. Thursday, sunny and 66. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
67 degrees now, 8:07. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides. The bottom line is, I respect that we don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks? I love this guy. He's the only guy could have walked in with a one. Think of it. You can't be a guy like me and have a one majority. You have to be a guy like him, a nice person. He's very religious. He prays. He's a man of God. And so am I, but he's really to a new level. I will tell you. He is a great guy. They love him in Louisiana. They love him that's the only kind of guy. Somebody said, oh, well, we want somebody.
So that is President Trump speaking live right now on Capitol Hill, standing next to Mike Johnston. He's over there to talk to the House GOP caucus. And I just wanted to dip into that for a minute and give you an idea what the president, he's pushing the big, beautiful bill, and he's trying to get those few naysayers to agree to vote for it. Let's listen again for just a minute here, Ethan.
Is more well-suited to be Speaker of the House, especially in a case like this. Remember, we had a majority of one for 6 months, and that was a very frightening thing because the Democrats have really hurt our country. And we are going to go into very much so. Remember what I said, the auto pen. This government was illegally run for 4 years. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right, there he goes. He's now going into a meeting room with all the Republican congressional members in the House to kind of talk this over and see what the remaining roadblocks might be. That's an encouraging sign, don't you think, that the president's heading over to Capitol Hill?
I think so. I think that, they're calling on the Republicans. Caroline Leavitt was yesterday during the daily press briefing. Hey, this is the time we have to come together and get behind this bill and get it passed.
Yeah.
And we heard Senator Schmitt this morning when we were talking to him at 7:08. If you want to listen on the Odyssey app, I think it's fair to say that a lot of members of Congress have maybe a few reservations, but they see the bigger picture in this. They see that ultimately there's a lot of good in this bill. And I think that's the case with any bill, right? Is there any bill that you can think of where every single component of it you're a fan of? Maybe, but usually because there's usually a lot jam-packed in these bills. So there's probably at least one little component that you feel like would be better if it were tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with that. Some people are going to have to hold their nose and vote for this. I think that's what's going to have to happen. So we're going to get to all that and more for you coming up here. Trying to get to our friend Chad Pergram, who's up there on Capitol Hill right now as they get together for this. So we'll see if we can get him on the air this hour in just a few minutes. Right now, Ethan, let's get to our top stories.
The Marc Cox short list.
He's saying that it's been there for a while. Even an aggressive prostate cancer has been there for a while. He clearly had this while he was president for years.
Well, Mark Siegel, one of the doctors coming forward saying, you know what, we're sad that he has cancer, but let's all be honest. This kind of thing doesn't just sneak up on you like that. They can see this coming years out.
We know that there has been meddling by the Trump administration into the Coast Guard staffing, and now we need to know how this meddling might have impacted the events of last night.
Oh, my gosh. Chuck Schumer is maybe the most hateful man in America. Anything Trump. He's now blaming Trump because a Mexican ship ran into the Brooklyn Bridge.
In the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but
yeah, there's James Comey. Boy, you certainly have a lot of confidence these days that if that guy was ever in charge of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, he didn't even know what 86 means.
At the end of the day, this was a human failure. It was not exceptionally clear about whose roles and responsibilities it was to do what. The protocol needed to be crystal clear. It wasn't. It's clear as of right now. It is clear moving forward.
Yeah, there you go. There's the mayor of St. Louis, Kara Spencer, addressing the human error that occurred, not setting off the storm sirens during this big storm on Friday. I watched that news conference yesterday live, and in a bit of disbelief in watching it, Kim. I know you've heard her comments there now. If you watched it live, you heard the reporters pushing back on her a little bit. I think Mark Maxwell was one of them. There were a couple others there that are like, okay, well, you say it's human error, but whose human error? Who's to blame? And she absolutely, positively would not name names. And I don't think that's right. I think in a situation as serious as this, it's not like a traffic light didn't work. People died, and there's no way to say if they would have died or wouldn't have died if the alarms had gone off, if they'd had an extra 3 minutes of warning to get inside. We don't know the answer to that, but it's a massive failure. And simply saying the protocols weren't correct doesn't excuse it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take bets on how long it takes for someone to be fired. Let's start off with this. Do we think someone actually will be fired?
I don't know.
I think the bigger issue, and I didn't know this until you pointed it out, but it's worth repeating, would be the fact that the entire crew there at emergency management, they were at some workshop. We knew for days. Dave Murray, all the meteorologists on the local TV stations were pushing out information for days saying that out of a 1 to 5 threat level for severe weather, we were at a 4 in parts of St. Louis. So why in the world would you not have your staff ditch that whatever workshop? I don't even really care what it was, because nothing would be more important when you're walking into a potential for that kind of weather than to have your staff there ready to go.
It is kind of hard to believe that there wouldn't have been some sort of plan in place, but the protocols were confusing. The mayor just kept using that phrase over and over and over again. Here's how they do it in St. Louis County. I checked yesterday with somebody who's pretty high up in emergency management, and they told me for years now that decision and that button has been pushed to sound the alarms over at central dispatch. So they do it because there's always somebody there. Mm-hmm. There's never a time when that's not staffed. So if it happens in the middle of the night, there's somebody there. If it happens at 2 p.m, there's somebody there. The fact that the city didn't have a situation like that is a little bit surprising, but we don't know exactly what the protocols were because the mayor declined to answer the question. I know they got a lot going on, but that was a pretty major admission of failure to then not follow up and answer the question, who failed?
I will say this has been trial by fire for her first however many days she's been mayor of St. Louis.
I don't know I don't personally know the director of emergency management there, SEMA, it's called, City Emergency Management Agency. I don't personally know her. She goes by the name
Sarah
Russell.
They, them, yeah.
On social media. And also Sarah Gamblin Luide. She's got 2 different last names, so I don't know which one is current, but I think it's Sarah Russell.
Well, she has a lot of questions to ask, because even if there was somebody that she had supposedly said, hey, make sure you're there to do it, which it sounds like that wasn't the case. But even if she had done that, it didn't happen. So it falls back on her as the leader. Well,
we point this out because we did reach out to the fire department to try to get them on today, the chief Jenkerson, and they didn't return our phone calls. I'm assuming they're a little busy over there. I tried texting, I tried leaving messages, we sent emails. We got nothing. So maybe at some point today, the I teams at the local TV stations will have a little more luck getting some answers to all this. Ethan, let's pull this back up for a minute. The president has now stopped and started talking to some more reporters.
With an open borders policy that allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of those people are stone cold murderers, killers, and trouble. Yeah.
Are you planning to tell the fiscal hawks who want to delay
Say it.
this? What are you planning to tell the fiscal hawks who want to delay
I'm a
this?
fiscal hawk.
They don't think there's enough spending.
I'm a bigger fiscal hawk. There's nobody like me as a
Thomas
fiscal
Massey
hawk.
said that added more deficit than Biden did, and this bill kind of.
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massey is correct in saying that this is adding Biden levels?
No, I don't think Thomas Massey understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that. You have that. They've got some too. Go ahead.
Mr. President, on Medicaid.
All right, we'll get to a quick break here. If the president's still speaking, we'll try to get back on it. Some pretty strong words there against Thomas Massey out of Kentucky. He was apparently lobbying for somebody to primary him in the next election. We'll see how that goes. A quick break. Bottom of the hour, we'll get to Ryan Wiggins, host of Wiggins America. Stay tuned.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this morning, northbound 55, pretty slow around the Bayless area in the construction zone. Northbound 270, mainly pockets of moderate volume, but they do stretch between 21 and 64. We've got eastbound 44 pretty slow this morning, approaching 141 through 270. We've had signal problems on 141 this morning, and it's jammed. There's signal problems at Marshall Road. So we have a jam on either side of 44 on 141, and it's really slowing at Bowles as well. Now, if you're eastbound on 64, moderate volume out at Prospect, and then things open up, and you'll find a slow pocket or two approaching 270 through Big Bend. Westbound, pretty slow at Boyle, and again, between Clayton Skinker and Hanley. 70 eastbound, though, looks great, and that's out west into downtown. Still some volume westbound, headed for and crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. And southbound 255 really slowing at Route 15 this morning in the construction zone there. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
So if you were listening earlier, we were talking to my friend Chad Hansen from Hansen's Tree Service. That's hansenstree.com, about some of the great work he and his crews have done the last 3 or 4 days, helping people recover from the downed trees. And it's been pretty amazing. And as you know, a lot of these trees were probably not healthy to begin with. A lot of the ones that fell had dead limbs on them, and there were signs that they weren't in good shape. You can avoid this on your own property. Let Hansen's Tree come out. They've got certified arborists who will look at your yard, and they can spot things that you and I probably can't see, and it's going to reduce the risk of that tree in your yard falling over in a tornado or a windstorm, either on your house or your car, or heaven forbid on somebody. Call them today at 636-379-1830. That's 636-379-1830. Be sure and tell them Marc Cox sent you, and let Hansen's Tree Service take care of everything else. Go to hansenstree.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
Hi, I'm your kid's old jeans. I've been in the drawer for a while and really missed the playground. You should swing by Goodwill and drop me off. Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. Plus, I could get back into the game. Donate today. Tag, you're it.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
A morning cup of adrenaline. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
What advice do you have for the first female president of the United States?
Well, first of all, don't be a handmaiden to the patriarchy, which kind of eliminates every woman on the other side of the aisle, except for very few. Lisa Murkowski.
Liz Cheney.
Yeah, there's a few.
Hillary Clinton is so smug and arrogant in her contempt for the American people. She is so smug and arrogant. Did you hear that tone in her voice when she started? Did it sound familiar at all?
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to say.
Yeah. So she's just so smug in her hatred of half of America.
Why is she even talking about that right now?
Because she was at some event and the host asked her, "What's your advice to the first female president of the United States?" Which wasn't her, which was a little bit of a stab to her back to ask her that, right? Since she got denied by Donald Trump. Like, he really could be charged with abusing women, couldn't he? He's denied two perfectly capable women of being president of the United States. Why haven't they tried to sue him over that yet?
You know, I'll say something that I think it might bother some women. It is not to say that there are not some women who I think would be very good presidents, but I do believe there's a reason why men are more effective presidents and are continuing to get elected. And that is, it's truly just the way that God made us. I believe God created women to be more empathetic, and that's a strength we have. And you need that. I mean, that's the importance of having the dad and the mom in a family unit, is because each one brings different traits to the relationship, to the family, for the children. Women have this loving, supporting, nurturing personality or character traits about them. And it doesn't mean that we can't be disciplinarians or we can't be tough or we can't be strong. It doesn't mean that. But I think generally speaking, when it comes to being president, you need someone like a Donald Trump who's not going to let his emotions in any way get involved in some of these deals he's making, these conversations he's having. And I think it's just the way God created us. And that's in so many ways a blessing. We shouldn't look at that as a bad thing, that God created women to be that way. We need that in this world.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with that. But aren't you being a handmaiden to the patriarchy by saying that?
I guess so. Like I wouldn't discount
be
all
a
women, but
handmaiden to the patriarchy is what Hillary said, which
I am.
automatically rules out most of the women on the other side. And what a snot.
Seriously, I feel like the ultimate song of our country right now is "I can do anything better than you." It comes down to gender and race. It's like everyone has to prove why they're better. I was just looking at a clip yesterday of the Chicago mayor, Brandon or Brendan, what's his face? Why am I blanking on his last name? Doesn't matter. And he was talking about how he's been really diligent about hiring Black leaders and in helping Black run businesses. And he's like, it's because our race is the most generous race in the world. That's like verbatim, basically what he said. Like, why do we have to make it an us versus them all the time?
Because it's the divide and conquer politics of the left in this country is exactly what it is. I personally would have no problem voting for a woman for president. It just has to be the right candidate.
There are some
I did not
who
vote
could
for,
do it.
I did not vote for Hillary Clinton because she's a woman. I did not vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. I voted for them because their policies are horrible and would hurt America. And they're not in the best interest of America. Find me a good, strong candidate who's a Republican who has upstanding conservative values and wants to make America great again, and I'm absolutely willing to vote for them. I don't know who that, I can't name you a name today of who that might be, but I'm just saying I certainly would. Their gender is irrelevant, but it's got to be relevant to the identity politics of the left always, which just is sickening. All right, coming up, we're going to get to Ryan Wiggins straight ahead.
Another RX Watch brought to you by Onder Law.
There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them, to see someone that is in pain. I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zerorez a call today. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. Visit ZerorezSL.com and tell me what the Mark Reardon special, or call 314-474-2020.
Baseball is all about stepping up to the plate when it matters most. And when you've been injured, you need a heavy hitter in your corner. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The Cards, the Tigers.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
I'm Nicole Murray with Your Money Now. General Motors said it has informed employees and dealers that it will stop shipping vehicles to China from the United States. The move comes as the United States and China continue discussions on tariffs and other trade issues. House Speaker Mike Johnston says that Republicans are nearing an agreement on President Trump's big, beautiful bill, but he suggested it will take 2 more days of internal discussions before the deal is sealed. Johnston adds he is confident the sides will pass the package through the House by Memorial Day. Nebraska is the first state to receive a federal waiver to ban the purchase of soda and energy drinks under the SNAP benefit program for low-income Americans. The move would affect roughly 152,000 people in Nebraska. Futures are slightly lower. Monday, the Dow Industrials gained 137, the NASDAQ up 4, the S&P 500 up 5. Once again, futures are slightly lower. Dow Industrials gained 137 yesterday, the NASDAQ up 4. That's your money now.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ziprecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident reported westbound 6440 past Big Bend. Watch for that one in the left lane. And of course, it has created a jam. And right now it's going back through Hampton. Also slow is westbound 6440 approaching Vandeventer. We've got eastbound lined up because of that westbound accident, and that goes back near Lindbergh. We had an earlier accident reported eastbound 40 near Mason. And out west, 64 still has some moderate volume around Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 looks great out west into downtown. Now, if you're headed in from Illinois, there's some moderate volume westbound 55, 64 from the 70 split. Then it's pretty heavy at Route 3 and across the bridge. And eastbound 44 has been slow this morning, 141 through 270 before it opens up. Northbound 270, still a slow pocket or two. And that's really anywhere from Gravois on up through Manchester. And then it looks better. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. And this report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. And when it needs help, you just call the experts at Overhead Door for same-day service. 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Our home is probably the biggest investment that we'll make in our entire life. So if you're doing any sort of renovation project there, or you know something needs fixing, you want to make sure that you're using a quality company that uses quality materials, because you want to make sure it lasts, right? That's probably the best thing you can do, is not, go with a company that has all these gimmicks and stuff like that. And then you realize, 5 years down the road after you put all this money in, that it was a mistake and you're having to redo it. So for example, if you've noticed that your siding is cracked or it's faded because it's been on your home for 20 years and the sun over time can do that to it, fade it. You want to go with James Hardie siding. And Lakeside Renovation and Design, they use James Hardie siding because it really is the gold standard in siding. It's made from this fiber cement that it looks like wood. It's beautiful, it's durable, but it really is designed to last. Just go to lakesiderd.com. You can see all the options you get to pick from. You get to work with one of their in-house designers to customize it to your home. So pick the color, the texture, all the different things. Plus, they do so much more than that. They do kitchen renovations, bathrooms, decks, windows. I can't even name them all, but if you go to lakesiderd.com, you can get a whole list of all these really great projects that they do inside and outside. Family-owned company, been doing this for close to 30 years here in St. Louis. A+ rating from their BBB. Plus, they back up their work with a lifetime workmanship warranty. The number to call is 636-978-5000. Just tell them that Kim sent you, and check out lakesiderd.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSupercenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSupercenterofStLouis.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Triton Exteriors. Not sure if you've noticed, but the storms seem to be especially bad this spring. If you had James Hardie Smart Siding, you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not going to be damaged like in the 314-day storm. So we do roofing, siding, gutters, fences. We're always going to be the middle bid. We're never going to cut corners. We're never going to take advantage of you. Call 314-717-1159 or Triton-STL.com.
Hey, it's Annie with my friend Stewie, and you know Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan gets you your mortgage or your refinance at no closing costs. And I have Stewie with me right now. You're all about saving people money. Fiscal responsibility is really in right now, and you've got something up your sleeve for these folks.
You know what, Annie? Some people like to get better cash flow. Other people just want to pay off all their debt. So we're going to do something very, very unique. In Scotland, it was traditional to paint the door red once you paid off your mortgage. So we're going to give you the Red Bagel Challenge. If you refinance with us and you consolidate your debt and you get your mortgage paid off in half the period of time remaining, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus at the end of that term.
Well, Stewie's all about helping you build your wealth and build equity, and the Bagel Loan is another way to do it. Remember, no closing costs with the Bagel Loan. Reach out to Stewie directly with 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google Bagel Loan for more information, NMLS number 226715.
Living in reality. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
In the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but
Wiggins!
Wiggins!
Ryan Wiggins, that was former FBI Director James Comey.
James Comey?
Just walking through life, minding his own business, seeing a few seashells on the beach. Doesn't see anything wrong with it. But he did suspect maybe it was political, but he didn't know for sure. So he took a picture of it and put it on Instagram. Next thing you know, he's getting dragged onto MSNBC or dragged into an office at the Secret Service to determine exactly what he did know and when he knew it.
I like in that clip, too, that really what he's saying is not even that, I posted a picture and it got me in trouble. He says, well, I was just walking on the beach.
Yeah.
He didn't even say anything about the actual picture. He just said, well, I'm in trouble because here I am minding my own business, walking on the beach with my wife, and now I'm under investigation. Can you believe that? Unbelievable.
I think it's beyond belief. The beyond belief portion to me is, and I said this earlier to Todd Piro, he's the director of the FBI.
He knew.
He's probably, looking at him, I like to think, a couple years older than me, but he was a director of the FBI. I've never been in law enforcement in my life, but I know what 86 means.
I did not know what that means. If I'm being honest, I would see that seashell formation and not just think, oh, that's a cool formation, but I wouldn't automatically know what that means. But for somebody in his position or former position, the guy absolutely knows. You're never going to be able to convince me that he had no idea what that meant.
Either he should have known and didn't, which would make him
which is scary then, yeah.
or he did know and that was wrong to do.
Right.
Or he just wanted publicity for his book, which is coming out soon.
You know what?
That's possible.
When you come out with a book, there's a lot of things you'll do. You gotta promote the book somehow. You gotta maybe say, maybe assassinate the president.
Well, everyone's talking about him now, so I guess it's effective.
It is.
What do they say? Any PR is good PR?
Or no PR is bad PR. Isn't that how it goes? I had the bite yesterday. I was looking for it here. Now for some reason, I'm unable to find it. But I had the bite. Was it Friday or was it yesterday when Dan Bongino and Kash Patel came out and basically admitted that there's no there when it comes to the Epstein case. What did you think about that?
Well, that's what I brought is just the surprise. That is the Fox News headline. FBI bosses insist Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself after reviewing his file. I think we're all pretty surprised by that, but we're talking about Kash Patel here, and we're talking about Dan Bongino, the assistant deputy director.
Right.
But Patel says, quote, as someone who's worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one. And that's what this was, Patel said when questioned about Epstein's death.
This is it. Listen, I knew I had
As someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor who's been in that prison system, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Here's the thing. We now have what looks to be, based on their track record, much, much, much more competent directors. So it is entirely based on the character of the people saying it, whether or not you trust it. When James Comey, who apparently has no idea what any code language about killing the president means, comes out and says it, I would go, I don't believe this guy. He's too connected in Washington. But these guys aren't. They're not connected to any of these people and the deep state stuff. Here's the other wrinkle in this story. They're just talking about that one event. They're not talking about all the other Epstein stuff. They're talking about just the fact that he died in a prison cell. Now, just 2 weeks ago, Pam Bondi, the AG, came out and said, we have thousands of hours of video of Epstein. And we assume that that's from Epstein's mansion because there's been a lot of talk about him having all this video of all these people as blackmail. And she said we have thousands of hours. So we assume that that's what they're talking about. So the fact that they're talking about it, the FBI is even talking about this case, is good. It means they're probably focusing on the case, and there are little things like this are going to come out that make news along the way.
Yeah, probably an EMP is going to go off near wherever that's stored because they're trying to delete the video.
Well, you know how many people would be, oh my gosh, potentially named in that?
Sure.
Yes.
It'd be worse than the Diddy
would be ruined. Oh my God. Yeah,
campaign.
but don't even get me started on the Diddy stuff if you've been following that. Freak offs.
Yes, no kidding. It would I don't know if it would be worse than the Diddy thing or not, because we'd probably recognize more of the names in the Diddy files.
No,
than
but there,
would
I
in
don't
the
think
Epstein
so.
files.
I think there'd be, I mean, it's so far reach. Like politicians, they talked about potentially people with the royal family being involved with Epstein.
Well, that's why the Epstein thing is a bigger deal, because the Epstein stuff reaches all aspects of society.
Movie
where
stars.
Diddy was obsessed with celebrities.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, there might be some crossover, but that's why the Epstein stuff is just such a bigger deal. I think the Epstein stuff, I mean, the Diddy stuff it's not as if we shouldn't be looking into that, especially if there were underage kids involved.
Mhm.
But it also was just gross. Like it's
I
a
know.
lot of the stuff just off-putting, and it makes you just wince, and you're like, ugh, but it may not be illegal. It's just gross. So,
It's weird.
but it all needs to be exposed for sure.
I don't trust that it will be, though, because I was disappointed but not surprised when Pam Bondi's like, we have all this stuff we're about to release. And then it was a nothing burger. I was like, everything is redacted. And it was the same thing for JFK, where they made this huge deal out of it. Like, oh, it's going to be this bombshell report. And then nothing really came of it. So at this point, I'm not expecting
I think
much.
she's got a point. I'm not expecting much either. But I agree with you on your first comment there. I mean, I do believe if Kash Patel and or Dan Bongino found a shred of evidence that it wasn't what they said it was, they would be the first ones screaming that to the rafters.
Yeah, and the thing is, we talk about media personalities, Trump picking a lot of media people to be in his, high positions here. And one of the reasons that I think he's doing that is not just that they're good at media. That is definitely a reason. But part of the reason is somebody like Bongino, somebody like Pete Hegseth, Sean Duffy, all these people are on record for a long time talking about what they believe, why they believe it, where they come from. So they can't really run from their past. So he knows exactly what their beliefs are, their angle on everything ahead of time, because he was betrayed so much in that first term that these people are out there. He knows what they think.
Well, and they've built credibility with a lot of people who have watched them over the years on Fox News, for example. You want to trust them.
Exactly.
Well, Brian, I was up early Saturday morning driving up to the Jeff Hansen Memorial Sporting Clay shoot, and I got to listen to Wiggins America.
Thank you very much. It was probably like a decent show, would you say?
It was a very decent
show. Kind of middle of the road.
The only thing it was missing was a segment with Marc Cox.
Ooh, should I reuse this segment this weekend?
I'm not suggesting that, but whatever you think you need to do as the executive producer.
If I do, I'll cut this part off.
Cut Mark out. You can have our conversation then if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll keep the Kim part.
7 to 8, right?
7 to 8.
7 to 8 on Saturday mornings and 7 to 8 on Sunday evenings.
You got it.
Very good. Ryan Wiggins, thank you.
Yep.
All right, back in just a minute. We're going to talk. We're going to have some advice for you on how to determine whether or not you have damage from these storms and how to handle it when it comes to people who are knocking on your door wanting to help. We're going to be back in just a minute.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident westbound 6440, really near Big Bend, and it has been blocking the left lane. They've been working to get that off to the shoulder. And we do have some slow-moving traffic behind that. In fact, if you're westbound on 40 and going, what the? Yeah, you are jammed almost back near the Science Center overpass, not quite Kings Highway. There's also a slowdown east of there around Boyle. Now, eastbound traffic on 64, there's a little bit of moderate volume out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard and then approaching 170 through Big Bend. We look a lot better on eastbound 44. There's moderate volume now, 141 through 270. 270 northbound, pockets of moderate volume, especially between Highway 30 and the Clayton Road overpass. Northbound 55 looks good at this hour. And if you are headed in from Illinois, there is some volume westbound 5564 from the 70 split across the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you ever wonder, like most of us have, if you have saved enough money to retire? Most of us just save and we think, okay, hopefully this will do it. Well, that is not a plan. And we have to figure out how things work. You want to get the most out of the tax code so that you can get the most out of your retirement. You want to figure out when to take Social Security so you can do well there as well. This is why I love this. It's a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects called Retirement Planning 101, and it's 3 hours. And they cover reducing your taxes, maximizing Social Security. They cover all of that as much as they can in 3 hours for free. But they want you to bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery, which kind of love that. There are some openings, but you have to register. So call 314-947-2012 and get an idea of what's happening in retirement, whether you want them to handle it or not. At least you'll learn. 314-947-2012.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600 or on the website bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholz of Kaufman Townsley. It's not just that we've won millions of dollars for our injured clients. We have. It's that we've won the trust of thousands of clients who were victims of careless drivers due to no fault of their own. We have the team, the talent, the tenacity to get you the money you deserve. Not every firm has that. Most don't, I assure you. We do, and we win. Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
The Annie Fry Show.
Ed Martin, what do you say to that?
I have spent 2 weeks in a fight for my confirmation life with a Republican who beat the heck out of me, right? So if Annie Fry said I was being a bad guy, I'd worry a little bit more, but I'm not really worried about some of these critics.
Weekdays from noon to 3. I've got great news. We're back with more on the Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
Breakdown in protocols led to the sirens not going off on Friday. North City residents say they heard them the day before, but not when it mattered most.
As the siren happened,
the day before, but not the day it happens. That don't make sense.
Cantrell Collins, confused about why he did not hear outdoor tornado warning sirens Friday. He's now among the thousands without power in North City and believes a loud warning would have helped stem injuries and property damage.
All right, some of the Channel 4 coverage there yesterday after the announcement by the mayor that human error led to the tornado sirens not going off in the city. More to come from that story for sure, because we still don't know who was responsible for that. But in the meantime, the cleanup continues. And if you had hail at your house or some of the high winds is before this storm actually turned into a tornado, like I live a little further west, so I had the winds, but not the tornado, and had big hail. And the first person I called was my friend Curtis Correll of Correll Roofing, who came out and took a look at my roof. And I've got him in studio with us this morning. Curtis, how are you?
Pretty good.
You've been busy, brother.
Nonstop.
Yeah, it's been nonstop. So you tell people what you're looking for. Like when you came to my house the other night, you're crawling up on the roof. I know people all over the place are having their doorbell rung by crews that are in from out of town trying to sell you a new roof. As a professional, what are you looking for when you're on the roof?
So we meet with the insurance whenever they're inspecting to approve you for a new roof, new siding, new gutters. So the industry's pretty much got a pretty close standard across all insurances. What I'm doing is I'm getting up there and I'm drawing out a 10-foot by 10-foot square on each slope of your house, and I'm looking for 6 to 8 hail hits. Some of the more strict insurance companies, they're looking for 10 to 14. But that's what I'm doing. I'm drawing that out, and then I'm getting down. I'm showing the homeowner, hey, here's the process that when insurance shows up, this is what they're going to be looking for. So I've already done that for you. Here you meet or exceed the necessary damage, and showing that customer those photos as well.
Right. And it's important. So what does that do to the structural integrity of the surface of the roof when you have a hail strike?
Well, okay, so there's the severity of the storm is let me go to Chesterfield.
Okay,
when we were talking the other day.
Right.
So they have fractured matting. What that means is if I were to pull up the shingle and I feel the back of that shingle, it's already completely perforated through. They need a roof now, ASAP. It's all those hail hits are perforations and holes in the roof where that water is going to get in. Other areas like St. Peter's, from what I've seen, they have hail damage, but there's not fractured matting. However, all of those hail strikes, they knocked all the granules out. They did damage the shingle and they did damage the matting, but it's not perforated through.
Good.
They're going to need a new roof. Insurance will pay for that roof when they come out and they inspect. But there's definitely like levels of severity to this. Some are going to want to get on it much quicker than others.
I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot here, but any guess as far as a percentage of how many homes you've been called out to look at have actually had enough damage that would warrant needing a new roof? I mean, was there a significant enough hail damage to the majority of these homes where you're saying, yeah, you probably need to replace it?
Oh yeah, majority of them for sure.
Like it doesn't take much, when we talk about the size of the hail, it doesn't take much to do significant damage.
So, well, the smallest recordable hail that you could call into the insurance for damage is 3/4 inches.
Oh.
But I would say that most of the time that's not really damaging your roof.
Mhm.
You're looking for inch and above, and then whenever you have a tornado, that's flinging the golf ball size hails, the
Right.
ping pong. It's coming in faster and it's doing more damage rather than just straight down.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Curtis Correll, my guest with Correll Roofing. What's your advice to people, Curtis? If somebody comes up and knocks on your door, they're driving down the street with a magnetic sign on the side of their truck, what should you be leery of as a homeowner?
First of all, that they're not an out-of-towner. You want to make sure that they're not some company from Indiana here today, gone tomorrow, someone who's going to be here, who's going to represent you through the entire process, someone who, if you were to ever have a warranty call down the road, they're going to be there to honor their work and fix their mistakes.
Somebody like Curtis, who is a veteran who employs a bunch of veterans in his business, in fact, and is a born and bred St. Louisan. So thank you, sir.
That's right. Thank
for that.
Who also
Awesome.
was braver than the Secret Service to get on a sloped roof.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that factor too.
I love that, Kim. That's a great point. So if you want to reach Corel Roofing, you can call Curtis's cell, 314-619-4946, 314-619-4946. I've got his card up on my Facebook page, or you can just search for Corel Roofing, 2 R's, 2 L's, Corel Roofing Company on Facebook, and give him a call. He'll be glad to get out there and give you an estimate. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
You bet. Good to having you in here. Hey, enjoy your Tuesday. Kilmeade's next. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done.